I haven't poured mine yet, so I'm finishing this green tea.
Oh man,
I've got it in the fridge cooling off. I just
Are you-
brought it in 10 minutes ago.
are you off the sauce?
No, I just am using my money wisely.
Well, you're gonna just have to lay off the Lipton, bro.
Put these lips all in that ton. Oh, there's already a comment.
Oh, hey, yeah. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you. Thanks
Hey.
again for doing my contest. That meant a lot, man.
Is that a little Saab rock I see in that thumbnail? Some John Mayer? That's what I'm seeing. I like some Johnny M's.
Oh, that does look like the Saab rock.
Not to be confused with Boney
Hey,
M.
Mick, how's it going, man?
What's going on?
Just down in Arizona a few weeks ago, down there in the Sedona area. Went on over the mountains into Prescott. That's how you know know what you're doing geographically, Sam. It's not Prescott. There's no such thing as Prescott, Arizona. It's Prescott.
Oh yeah, I kind of like my favorite burnt end barbecue item.
I guess it's Saab rock, Sam. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you is Ohio comfortable enough for you to be wearing long sleeves?
It's not. I'm sweating, but it's.
I was gonna say you'd be dying here.
But this is my uniform. I can't. I'm not like you where I can just throw on whatever trash I got in my closet and.
Like the first my Paul McCartney tour shirt. Yeah.
Did you see him?
I've seen him twice.
Wow, that's one more than once. That's not bad.
No, I saw him in 2022 in at Wake Forest at the football stadium, and then I saw him at John Paul Jones Arena at UVA in like 2014 or 15.
You should do a video where you like look in the camera all like smug and stuff and be like, should Paul McCartney hang it all up and never tour or sing another note again? Just
nobody's ever done that before.
It's something to consider on the YouTube.
I've missed you, man.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I also, both Sam and I mean, all things considered, like I think, both on the John Mayer train. There's a lot of people in the VC who are not, but like I mean, like I only really own what I need to, but I love those records and I have the utmost respect for him. And I will say, okay, people are like, yeah, but he's an asshole. Fair, so am I. But like, and
you strum my guitar.
Like I don't know. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Yeah.
He's funny.
Yeah.
Like his bits are so good.
Yeah. Yeah, he was made for like the Vine kind of community, like when that was big.
1000%. Hey, Trevor. Yeah, or Travis, whatever. You yeah, give me a call later. I got to figure out where I'm going to be staying here since you all made me book my flight.
Back to
hey, Kyle.
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, I mean, the one time I saw Mayer, I mean, people that know me know I saw him with Dead and Company last May, and I mean, he had some tasty licks.
Yeah, tasty licks and tasty bits.
His bits are tasty. Yeah,
I would say it's good to see you, Jason. Looks like you're paying attention at work, which we love. But maybe it's your lunch break there, since it's about that time. So
beautiful.
We're getting like the night shift crew or the I don't have a shift crew.
Yeah,
as it were. So or what's the official term? Looking for a shift.
Looking for a shift. Yeah. Well, I think that's just called work in 2024.
Well, you know why that is.
The big C. It ruined everything.
These damn Democrats. Okay.
You just got to show your birth certificate to get a job these days. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Beer and Vinyl.
This is it. Oh man, no, we gotta stop that. There's too many. There's too many other like parody things going on out there. You never know when people will take us seriously. Do I look tan or is that just sweat? It's hard.
I think it's just good. It's a good soft news lighting.
Thank you. Yeah, not bad.
Well, do I look tan or is it just wet? Well, I don't look for tan in the hair, my dude.
But you look so white right now.
Yeah, it's that time of day where the sun is creeping upon the westward side of the country here, which is facing my window.
Yeah. No, his
Um,
is great. It's funny. I've seen a number. I, I guess the whole point was like, yeah, I would love to hear people share stories, but didn't really, I think, consider that people would, share the really deep, meaningful stories that have strong emotional connection to them. And so, um, I mean, it's just been great learning about people on like a human level. But yeah, I saw Rob's. He did great, and Rob and I have connected about a lot of those different things. We have a kind of a lot in common, actually. But yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really cool to see some of these videos and learn more about some people.
does that go to, you said, is that June 1st or something?
I guess that is when it ends. Yeah, we still got a couple
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah.
But it's been beneficial. Yeah, benefit. The hoagies have been coming, and I've also grown in subscribers. But so that's been really cool. I'm up like around 540 now. So
That's pretty good.
um,
Because you were like at 485. Like you weren't far from 500 when you started.
no, I started the contest at like 482 or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. That's pretty good. 50 something. I
Um,
haven't done
oh
a contest in a while because I feel like it'd be dumb for me to do a contest now where it's like what am I?
yeah.
The monetization contest. Yeah.
Well, Kyle, this might be in line with what Sam was saying. I've been seeing a lot of people talk about the new record and seeing them live and all those different things. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still on a lemon twigs high from that show last
Yeah.
Sunday. It's just and I'm following them obviously all over and seeing like the covers that they're pulling out and
Yeah, I get a different opener, I think, than you got.
yeah, well, which is a good thing because I didn't put it really in my review, but my guys
Yeah.
weren't great.
Yeah. No, it's actually really funny because I'm in this place right now. Where you like really, I don't know, I'm guessing people do this, but if you got a show coming up, like you spend that week,
Yeah.
a few days beforehand, whatever, just really diving in and listening to getting pumped up. But I have 4 shows the next 5 days, and I don't even know who to listen to right now. And they're kind of across the musical spectrum too, so it's like you can't like theme it up that way.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. But yeah, I got the Twigs on Saturday, sold out show.
Really? Is it a similar place like that I was talking about? Kind of like a 200
yeah.
something venue?
Tiny. I mean, it's called Rumba Cafe. Like
So you're gonna be wearing shorts, hopefully.
if that,
White t-shirt.
It's like wearing short. You see the pants I'm wearing.
Chris.
Hey, Chris, how's it going, man? Probably, but
that's the joy of America, Chris. You
wouldn't know anything about that. Well, actually, isn't Chris half American? Or like, where's he? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm like making stuff up. I feel like you have some American in you. Giggity. Could be wrong.
Just tell him to get away. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something. Oh wow.
He was offended.
I'm sorry. I would be look if someone told me that I had like I am American and I'm offended if someone tells me I got American in me, so I get it. Like
it's new definition of American idiot.
Oh well, okay. See, he's like
he was in Raleigh, or he's going to be in Raleigh soon for work, and he didn't invite me. No, he's going to be busy.
Actually, Kyle, we've connected on this. This won't surprise you. The only reason I know who the Lemon Twigs are because of Mike Portnoy. He did some kind of video thing on them 4 or 5 years ago. Like it might have been right after Do Hollywood or something. That he was like, this is like this new like thing. And it was, I just kind of trust whatever Mike says. So I got into it, but it's, which
is crazy. I wonder if the Twigs are going to be one of those groups that kind of like disown one of those, like some of that early stuff. Because they didn't do anything from Do Hollywood. I mean, they did about 4 from Endless Harmony. They did probably 2/3 of the new record.
Yeah.
Like a cover. I think they did a song from Go to School. a couple others, but there was nothing from New Hollywood.
Yeah, they didn't do much from what is it, Songs for the General Public either.
Yeah,
yeah. But it's one of those things of like they if they continue down this path, they're going to be pretty constant touring, recording artists, and so it's like,
yeah,
they want to play their new stuff, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like when you're that kind of band, like we've kind of made fun or talked about Pokey LaFarge, but he's like that. He's constantly touring. And I mean, last time I saw him like 2 years ago, he did the full record that he was promoting at that time. I'm guessing he's going to do probably most of this new record on this tour. I haven't looked at the set list. But I mean, that's those types of people that they'll never really break out. Even though I like to think, I would like to think that the Lemon Twigs would break out like Greta Van Fleet, but Fleet, I don't know. Fleet has something that caught on differently than these guys.
Yeah. And that's what's been so interesting with like some of these like throwback bands like that, right? Like, yeah, we'll see. Because again, it's like you and I are always talking of like the show that you went to, the show that I went to last year, and I'm sure what I'm going to go to this weekend of like, the demographic, right? Like, do we expect 20,000 like young, people between 16 and 26 to be there? Is that demographic going to be 20,000 people?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they going to need to, I don't know. We'll see. But it's funny too, because it's like, the places they play now are like, 200. I feel like the level that people are talking about them is not equating to their venues.
No.
It's not like we're talking about a band playing 5,000 seat theaters.
Yeah.
And maybe they're going to play arenas in a few years. Like, we're talking about people playing like cafes.
Like back rooms of bars kind of thing.
Right. I mean, I share this story all the time. Like, the show I went to last year, like, I was waiting in line for the public restroom with the bass player. Like, we were using, like, there was no like backstage.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like I said, I mean, I talked about it too. Like, they came out and like they were setting up their own stuff. Like, they were tuning up themselves. They set up the drum kit.
Yep.
Which was sweet, because it's like they just came out without kind of any fanfare. And I like that.
Speaking of your boy Pokey, I didn't go to the show when he was here last week. I might have if it was just such a stressful week, and I had the big work event this past weekend, and just wasn't, I wanted to be home and relax, and if anything popped up, be ready for it, and so I just wasn't feeling it. But here he did, because I think this is one of the earliest dates he did. It was like his first or second date
opener, I think. Yeah, I think Columbus was the opener.
And there was no opener, so he did a full evening with. So I think he played like multiple sets, like 2.5 hours, something like that.
Wow. That's sweet. I mean, some of the songs I did look up the first night, and I mean, he's doing that song "Don't Let Go," which I think is a Bo Diddley tune. He was doing that 2 years ago, and now he has his wife in the band now as a backup singer.
Yeah.
He got married a year or so ago, but yeah, I mean, like, that's the thing too with like, I mean, I'm sorry for people, we're talking about the Lemon Twigs, and like that kind of thing, but I mean, they do have the connections. Like Jody Stevens from Big Stars play with them on a record. Todd Rundgren's produced them. Sean Ono Lennon produced the track and plays bass on this album.
Yeah.
So you'd think that they would sell it, but again, like, is Sean Lennon playing these 5,000 person venues? He's opening for some big people, and like Todd Rundgren, he's not. He was never like a big draw, like concert draw.
But it's interesting too, because it's like I was. This is a complete aside, but I guess that's what we do here. Like, I was talking at this past training to a couple people who were like, they're probably in their 60s and like market themselves as like these big music fans, and like this is not to like shit on anybody or anything like that, but it's funny that like. It's funny that like so many people still today still have no idea who Big Star is. Like, right. I think we probably know, truthfully, like my parents didn't have any idea. Like, we probably knew because we grew up in the time that the whole, this band was never commercially successful, but here's like this documentary that shows how awesome, like that sort of like resurgence thing.
Yeah.
There's an element of that that's really generational because, they're sitting there like, who's Big Star? Who's Big Star sort of thing.
Yeah.
But what's up, concert buddy?
Big chance. Well, that was the funny thing. Like Big Star, like, I didn't really know about him until I got onto YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, that's exactly. No one knew who Sparks was, and that documentary blew him up. Oh yeah, and I forgot about Anvil. There's been a number of those.
Because Sparks are kind of at that level. I think they're playing some of their bigger shows. I mean, I'm not a fan of their style, but I mean, just following guys like Larry Graves, like, I mean, he's been to a couple of their shows, like back-to-back tours, and I mean, they're selling more tickets than they have. Again, that documentary helped. Well, that's kind of what happened with Leon Russell at the end of like his last 5 or 6 years. He did that record with Elton John, and Elton writes about that in his book, where he's like, Elton did that for Leon as like a charity case. Like Leon had nothing, and Elton's like, let's make a record together. And so they did a record. Like he saw Leon playing it like probably one of these little clubs like we were seeing the Twigs, where I mean there were 50, 60 people standing there listening to Leon Russell, who was in the Wrecking Crew. Yeah. And then till the end of his life, Leon was able to sell out those 5,000, 6,000 seat venues and pay his bills. So.
Oh yeah, that was what Rob talks about. Sixto Rodriguez all the time. That's another one that the Sugar Man documentary popped up and blew him up. Funny. So I was going to ask you, I was going to show you which means it was the early pre-order of Dream Is All We Knew, or All We Know. Sorry. This was the.
Ooh, yeah, I didn't get that one
because you got what they called ice cream white,
like the milkshake. Yeah, the milkshake white. Yeah.
Did yours come with like a weird 7-inch flexi disc thing?
No, I saw that thing. Did you get that?
Yeah. So this is, I don't even know. Okay, well, 2 things. This is pretty dope. That mine, I say came with just because again it was like.
Oh, it's signed.
Yeah.
Oh dang.
There you go.
That's sweet.
And then I've never even seen. I thought this was like the weirdest thing. I was like, I don't even know what this is.
Reach deep in there, Alex.
It's about to, yeah. It is a playable. I think it's called a flexi disc.
Yeah, it's one side, right? One
side, and it's like.
I'd be scared to play it.
I mean, I think it's just the Dreams All We. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a bonus song. I don't think.
Oh, it says it's called Gifts on the thing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. You should have gotten this one.
Yeah, but see, like, would you put your needle on that? Like, would you trust that?
Would I play the record?
Look, I caught you knocking at my cellar door.
So that's copyright.
The coolest thing. I mean, mine was just. I don't know what this one was considered because I think I ordered it through Amazon. So I guess that's the Amazon, the white. I mean, I got the poster. I think you got the same poster too, right?
Yeah.
And that was all. That was the only goodie. Really cool inner sleeve. But yeah, I didn't get into the little tasty morsels.
Yeah, and this was off like their website during the pre-order and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's cool. One of the back on like the music documentary things, I've talked about this before, and they're not like a cult band that nobody knows, but I just like keep saying I'm like, we need like the Netflix treatment, like mini docuseries of like the Badfinger story. That to me is just like needed, because in a smaller way, I talk about this too, of like some of those shows that sort of made bands or artists sort of resurge, right? And so the Breaking Bad was one of the biggest shows, at least of this millennium, and like the closing track on the series was Baby Blue, and that shot up the charts. And you see that with that happened with Don't Stop Believin' in the mid 2000s, and it's all those
Bohemian Rhapsody with Wayne's World.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
So
no, that's That would, I mean, that would be cool because you only have one original member of Badfinger still with us, right? So, like, I mean, you could get, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
actually, I don't even know if Mike Gibbons. So Joey Mullen is still alive.
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Technically not original, but yes, like.
Well, I mean, I was listening like earlier today. I mean, this would be kind of the same thing. I was listening. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, has seen this record with the Knack.
Yeah,
like that would kind of go with the same line. But the thing with like the Badfinger thing, they could play off of the Beatles connection, and that could really blow up.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if you pulled, McCartney in there for interviews, or Ringo, or James Taylor, like all those guys that were at Apple Records early on. Would be pretty. That would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And they'd have to call it "Come and Get It." The Badfinger story.
Yeah. All that. Yeah, and it's tough because Joey, I mean, Steve and I over at All the World's a Stage, we did a ranking and talked a lot about Joey just because of his role in he's just to be polite, he's a problematic person. And so, it's like, Tom Evans, died by hanging himself over a disagreement for Joey Mullen trying to get royalties on a song that he wasn't even a part of. But yeah. But it's still cool. I mean, if Joey Mullen like went on tour and like was like playing the music of Badfinger, I would totally go. Like I'd be like, absolutely would go.
Yeah, because he does. I mean, he still does like Beatle Fest and things like that.
Yeah. Scared pre-orders, especially pre-orders. Yeah. And I could see that. My thing right now, I don't pre-order a ton because I've gotten. To me, if I get a pre-order, that's how it was with this Lemon Twigs. Was like, I knew it was going to be good. I knew I was going to like it. Like I'm, not expecting them to do like a jazz album or something.
Yeah.
But to me, I'm like, I get tired of, which I get it. It's the business side of it. But like what I appreciate about that, I will pre-order stuff from websites and band websites when they're offering some kind of exclusive. Like if for all the pre-orders, it's coming with a signed print, it's going to be an exclusive color variant. It's going to come with some bonus bullshit, right?
Alternate cover. Yeah.
Something. But there have been so many times where it's like, pre-order our brand new record for $35 plus $10 in shipping, and then you don't get it until 4 days after it gets released. And meanwhile, your local record store has had it for a week and a half for $30 and no shipping. And so,
you pay that big money, and like it's not a gatefold either. I mean, that's what happened again. Like I talked about that Pet Sounds RSD exclusive. It was not a gatefold. There was no booklet. Wasn't even a cool inner sleeve. And I really messed out. I mean, I messed up on that one. I'm happy to have it now. Yeah. And like me and you, like when we talk about like the Avett Brothers record, I haven't pre-ordered that because it's $40 for 9 songs, and it would just be for a color. And I'm like,
and what is it? It's like a candy apple red.
Yeah, it's nothing like crazy cool.
But if they said, if it came signed, how much would you pay up for it? Like what would you max out at if the pre-orders like that came signed?
Maybe 55.
Okay.
Like that.
Yeah.
But for what was something that's really cool? Again, like I've been kind of being frugal the last couple of months here, just for different things. But the Dirty Knobs just announced a new record, Mike Campbell's group.
Yeah.
They have people who want to look. I mean, even you might be interested in this. They have everything.
Even you.
Yeah, even you.
Even a fat piece of shit like you would even be into this. Go ahead.
Come get my clams, boy. That's for you, Trevor. Mike has a signed CD and a signed vinyl, and it's $26 pre-order. Boom. So I'm like, absolutely, a Mike Campbell signature.
Oh yeah,
I never see that.
Yeah.
What's funny is that like he's signing, and like it's marketing because they have the exclusive web store blue vinyl, and then the signed version just on black wax for like the same price. I'm like,
right.
I want Mike Campbell's signature.
For sure.
No doubt.
Yeah. And that's the stuff. And that's why I also, it is different with every artist too, right? So we've talked about this before, where if I see an artist I want to pick up the vinyl from whatever tour they are supporting, even if I don't care about the artist right now. Like, not to say I don't care about them right now, but like, if they're out touring Hackney Diamonds, I want Hackney Diamonds, right? So I am seeing Saxon and Uriah Heep, two bands that I'm sure you love, Sam.
Indeed. I like the sax all over that Uriah Heep.
This weekend with Steve and Gary, and I don't have either of those records on wax. I could jump on Amazon. I could go to any record store. I could go buy them, but also like, I want to go to the show. I'm going to see what they have at the merch table. If they have some kind of, not even exclusive, but like
the signed,
something signed, something that's a lot of times what they'll do is like if they have like an online variant and they don't sell out, like they'll use them as tour fodder, like all that type of stuff. So
yeah,
I'm going to go and see if they have anything special there, and because I don't want to pay, $35 to whatever for just a standard thing. But also, the other side of it too is like, and those bands have been around forever. That doesn't mean that they're made, they're full of money, but like buying a record from a merch table, you're guaranteeing that like all of that money is going to them.
No tax or anything really.
Instead of buying it somewhere else. So I do like to pick up that stuff at merch tables if I can, but also like I've been there where it's like we don't have any, or it's just like the normal, regular version, but for $10 more. And at that point I'm like, no, I'll wait on it and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, like right now, for example, like I'm going through a thing with New West Records, who I love. I mean, they did the Pokey Lafarge. He's been on his last three records have been with them. One of my favorite groups, the Wild Feathers, is with them. The female artist, Emily Nene, who I've talked about before, she's on there. And I ordered the Pokey signed vinyl and signed CD because it was the same price as a regular, copy. Well, I got it a week early because that's what New West does. Like their pre-orders, you get them a week early. And my vinyl wasn't signed. So I'm having to work with New West either for them to, send me another copy or a return. So, that's a frustrating thing too. And if some people might talk about when Van Morrison put out his, that double record called Latest Record Project, it came with an insert that was signed, but a lot of people thought it was a, like what are they called? Like a print of his signature, a
lithograph. Oh,
like
it wasn't actually signed.
Well, like it was signed by ink, but it wasn't him. Like it was like a copy of his signature,
right?
Or like a stamp, or almost like that's what, because it was so. It was just so unique. I mean, it was so perfect across the board. Everybody that was showing pictures are like, why does my signature look exactly like this signature?
Yeah.
And I mean, he swore that it wasn't, but that was like a big tick off thing for a lot of people. So, which happened to Bob Dylan in that book that he put out a few years ago.
Yep.
So,
but yeah, I mean, that's the other thing too. Is like some of these artists, it's like the demand and popularity of them is so high. Like, opposed to like a Lemon Twigs or a Pokey, like, the people who like their pre-order numbers are not going to be that high.
Yeah.
Like they can sign these things.
And they're doing that before the show a lot of times. Like,
for sure. And actually, so that's what I've seen a lot of artists have done, is they'll go and for each like show, they'll sign 20 records, or 20 posters, and then they'll just do that right before each show. So, which, again, like that's a cool model. I mean, that's how it was. I just uploaded a video on seeing Al Di Meola a couple weeks ago, and like I appreciate everything at the merch table, every single item at the merch table, vinyl, CDs, songbooks, pictures, every single item was signed.
Yeah.
And then you could buy like a limited number of signed set lists after the show. Okay. And so, it's like a no-brainer at that point, right? Like, it's like, this is great. And so, yeah, it was, that was my fun little pickup there.
Oh, cool. Was that used during the show? Or was that just
yeah. So we had to like, sit around as if it was a major inconvenience, but we had to like wait around after the show for like them to actually get the set lists off the stage, take it back to him. He signed them, and they came out.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, but you know what's funny too is like everybody's different in this way. Some people are like, I don't care to buy any sort of pre-signed anything. Like it's the having something signed is the act of getting something signed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like I've talked to a lot of people who have zero interest in buying anything that has been signed before because the experience that they want is the experience of meeting somebody,
Right.
asking them to sign something, like that sort of thing. Like, so
Well, see,
you know,
yeah, like one of the things that I'm happiest to have signed is, but the first time that I saw the Zombies in 2014, they had a live, like it was for the 40th anniversary of Odyssey and Oracle. I mean, like their biggest album for those that don't know. And it was live like at one of the halls in the UK with the original members who were surviving, but it had been signed by Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone before the show. But I'm very happy to have that CD because I'm like, I have Rod Argent and Colin Blunstone's autograph. I didn't meet them, but I bought this double CD for $25 to have their signature. I'm more than happy with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm different than some.
Yeah. Well, that's like, nowadays thinking too. But a lot of it too. I don't know when you were growing up, Sam, were you a collector of anything?
Yeah, I was a coin collector. And,
okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a few other things like you've been in my apartment. You've seen some. I've got some nutcrackers.
Yeah. Okay.
But so like those, like I had those couple things. That coins were the big one. Like I go to antique stores and buy like the stupid little coins that were in like the cardboard. But yeah. So, but anyway, continue your thing.
Well, yeah. I mean, I always I think about maybe this is an unpopular statement in the VC. It shouldn't be, but like my thing is, different. Like, there's no such thing as like, are you a collector or are you a listener? Or like, are you an audiophile or are you a listener? And you're like, usually these things are like somewhere in the middle for everything. Like, there are certain things that you might be a big collector on, and other things you're not. You know what I mean? And so, it's different for everybody. But for me, like I look back when I was growing up, I was really into, like most people are into baseball cards. My favorite sport was basketball, so I was a huge basketball card collector. And so it's funny, like the comparison of like putting a record in a sleeve. I'm like going back to when I was like 7 or 8 years old and putting cards in those, the sleeves that would go in the binder and all that kind of stuff. And it's so funny, like how similar all these collecting hobbies are. They're the same thing, it's like, there's not like, well, collecting records is different than collecting baseball cards. And it's like, well, maybe, but also not really.
It's a different medium, but yeah.
And so I was thinking back in the day, because some of the shit is so stupid and it's so similar to what we do now. I remember one of my favorite cards I had was, when you're a sports card collector, you want the rookie cards, right? If you get a rookie card, that's a big thing. Well, at that time, I had a fucking Michael Jordan rookie card.
Ooh.
Got it in a pack, and it was like, the way that was done is like, if it was a rookie card, most of the time they were still in their college. Like the picture was still,
they hadn't had their headshot or their
So like the picture was still him in his Tar Heel gear, and it came with, and it was like, again, limited, numbered. They would call it, I believe they called it an insert. Meaning like that was when, the same way when you flip a record over and the RSD, and it's like there's only 1,500 of these made. On the card, it was something like, it was like 7 of 25. Like only 25 of these things were made. It was a Jordan rookie card, and it came with, this is where it was so funny, because again, I was like 7 or 8 and thought it was the most amazing thing. It came with what they said was a piece of the Tar Heel. I forget is it Cameron Indoor or is that Duke's place? Whatever.
Yeah, Cameron.
Is it Cameron? A piece of the floor was imprinted onto the card.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And this was like prized possession. I was like, oh my God. And I remember like telling showing my dad this. I was like, look at this. And I was like, it's got a piece of the floor. And he's like, what? Like this, you know what I mean? And it's like, we're seeing the same stuff here. Like these things are like coming with some stuff of like, it's, it's the stamper that was used, it's like, or you go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and it's like, this was the napkin that Neil Young wrote, Pocahontas on,
that
it's
he
all
shoved his cocaine in his nose with.
right.
For
Yeah.
the last waltz.
And so it's just, I've like noticed all those, parallels between whatever you collect, and whether it's the collectability, the rarity, the trade value, all those different things. And so, that's why there's a ton of aspects of me in this hobby that I'll fully admit is like a full-on hobby or a full-on collector, like probably annoyingly so. And also there's plenty of places in this hobby that I'm not, like.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point because, like, I mean, with coins, I had a few like the little books that would say, how much coins are worth, and like if it has this mint mark or like maybe like a double mint mark, especially during like World War II, like there was the 1943 wheat penny was silver because they had to use copper for the war, so they went a year and they didn't make pennies out of copper. Just for the 1 year. It's like those are always cool. They're not worth that much. I mean, they might be worth like $3 or $4 each now. Yeah. But I would snatch that stuff up. Like my parents would get change, like would let me look through their change to find like wheat pennies and like old quarters and things. I mean, I have a few coins that are worth between like $20 and $50, but not many. I mean, it's a very amateur collection, and I've still got that bug where every time I get change, I look at it first before I put it in like a box of coins or turn it in or whatever. But it's the same kind of like thrill. I mean, for me right now, like you and Jason, I mean, y'all know much more about pressings and dead wax and all that stuff. I just go out and look for like a really clean record, and that's what I love to do. Like again, like I mean, we've talked before. I'm a big Monkees fan for people that are watching, which I think is just one person. Hey, there we go. But like that Monkees Present record, like I wanted a good enough copy of that. Like I didn't want like a dollar bin version of it. But yeah, so there you go.
I'll answer this in a second.
But no, I mean, it is, and this is a new hobby for me. It's a new hobby for you. I mean, it's less than 5 years old for both of us, really. Like seriously.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things too, Alex. Like, do you think that in 10 years or so, like this is still going to be as hot as it is for us right now? I mean, because like me, I think it will be. Like, I don't see myself leaving this anytime soon. Anyway, there you go.
Well, and I was with you when you bought that Monkees Present. Monkees Present. Presents.
Yeah. Oh, my favorite Zeppelin album.
That's good. I've never been to Europe. But, here's the thing. Okay, yes and no. This is deeper than because I went down this rabbit hole years ago with the whole. I mean, it depends in terms of like craft beer. The States have been leading that, but yes, like in terms of like history and how beer is supposed to be made, and all those different things, and firm believer of the Reinheitsgebot, purity laws and all those different things in Germany and all that kind of stuff. So, and just all the classic like Pilsners coming from Pilsen, and like why those things are the way they are. So I would love to go over there and do like actual Oktoberfest or something like that. That would be dope. No Peter O'Rourke, huh?
No Peter O'Rourke. He was that was actually the second album without Peter Tork. But
yeah.
I
mean, I'd like to think that in the next 5 years that it'll still be hot for sure for me, but I do think it's going to change just because it's been so much quantity, and like I've slowed down buying quantity wise, but like still like I have barely enough room for anything. So like I'm not gonna be able to just stop, like I'm still gonna be buying records, but I need to get rid of stuff. I need to buy less. I need to figure out what I want my collection to be. Yeah, I mean, I've told you a million times, like, especially when I first started, like I have a local store here where every single Monday their $5 records are all $1.
Yeah.
So it's like I built up such a huge collection of those quickly. And some of them are in like great shape and they just don't want to deal with like pricing it, all that kind of stuff. And some of them are not in good shape. And so I've just filled so much of the collection up with those things and some of them I love, and other ones I'm like, why did I buy that? Like,
Yeah.
I have no, how many Beach Boys compilations do I need, Sam?
None.
Endless Summer, maybe.
Maybe that's the big one, because I mean that one goes through like the Sunflower album. Maybe that might have like Forever on it. What's going on, Anthony?
That's good. I like that. Hey,
No, I
Anthony.
mean, like, I feel like I've already kind of figured out like what I want my collection to look like. I mean, again, you've been here. It's not a huge collection, but like even for me right now, like I'm like, do I really want? And the Beatles are my favorite band. Do I really want all the Beatles albums on vinyl? I don't really need them. I mean, I'm also getting to the point now. Unless they're like a top band for me, I'm only going to buy them on CD or vinyl. I'm not going to do both anymore, because I did that for a little bit. But like with like these Lemon Twigs albums, like I only want Lemon Twigs on vinyl. Like I don't want the CDs. And like it's making me listen to them more. I have the Monkees records. Like I got most of the Monkees records on CDs, but like I don't right now. I don't really care that I have, that I don't have all of them on CD, because like I think I have them all. I have them all on vinyl, except for I don't have Headquarters, believe it or not, which is one of the easier ones to find.
But see, I think this is I think important. It kind of goes to like Kyle's point where he's gonna hear too, is that you and I are also different types of, going back to like the collectible thing and what we care about or what interests us or what we're passionate about, right? Like you said before, like I think my love for this hobby started because 95% of the stuff I love is like prior to 1977.
Yeah.
And so there's an element for me of collecting the relic, right? Like the history. Like I love opening that gatefold up and smelling like mildew, cigarette smoke, and bad pussy. Like I'm just
that's my apartment. You've been here a couple times.
That's a good joke. I love that, and I do get into the nerdiness of like is that a first or is that a second? And I also make fun of it too, depending on what it is. And so for me, it's like that. I think that buzz will always exist, like the crate digging and like that sort of thing will always be there. But I also think it plays a role in this too, of like, even if it's a modern day band that I love, or even an old band that's still making music, like there's for whatever reason, just based on what I like to collect and why I love the physical media part of it, I love the physical media part of it, that it's 60 years old.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I don't get as much enjoyment out of buying a brand new sealed but that's just me. You know what I mean? Like that's just how I feel because of what I like and what I'm into. But I agree. I mean, it's like new records now are, there's a lot of it, right? Because now it's a lot of artists are making still records from the CD age, which means like they're an hour long, if not longer, which means now it's 2 records.
Yeah.
And your minimum for it's hard to get a double LP for less than $35 these anymore.
And it's frustrating too, because I mean, again, I love Lord Huron, and all of their records on vinyl are double records.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not like they're hour-long CDs. I mean, they're like 46, 47 minutes, but it's still like, I got this double record. I have 3 songs before I flip the record, and it's not 45 RPM. So it's like, it's difficult.
That's why I was so pissy. I mean, one of my favorite, modern day bands is the War on Drugs, and their previous 2 before this most recent record they had, they were running 60, 65, 70 minutes. I mean, they were longer records, right? So I totally understand that. His most recent one was it's 52 minutes or something. And I get it, right? They're going to say like, oh, for like audio fidelity, it's going to be better, all these different things. But also that implies though that there's a lot of audio care that's being used in every other aspect of the pressing and the recording process. And I don't know if that's true. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so yeah, but now we're just split hairs. And what's funny too, though, is looking back of some of these records. Todd Rundgren was notorious back in the '70s for his records were 65 minutes, 70 minutes long. I mean, those sides were fucking 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Miles Davis the same way. Miles Davis records are an hour long a lot of times.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, I don't know if this is if we've done this or if you've done this with the boys over the years. I could accept an argument. I mean, you and I don't know that I would say I love the Beach Boys. I think you and I share. You obviously, Pet Sounds is your favorite album of all time. I love Pet Sounds. I love that Pet Sounds and post sort of psyche pop stuff.
Yep.
But I could see how they would be a band where people are like, just give me the comp and I'm good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm wondering who those bands might be for you.
Well, I mean, like a lot of people, like one of the big ones is, Chronicles, CCR. That's like one of the biggest, one of the biggest, greatest hits of all time. Like, was it 20 tracks or 18 tracks? I mean, again, big greatest hits albums, the Hollies, Buffalo Springfield, the Byrds, all those 60s, not British Invasion, but they fit right in, the American bands. Because they weren't, the Hollies weren't a record. I mean, they didn't make records for listening all the way through. They were a singles band.
Yeah.
But see, even now, like, I mean, I have a Hollies greatest hits, but I bought that before I was collecting. But like now, I'm not interested in getting anything else by the Hollies. I've listened to like a couple of their albums online, and I'm like, it's good. I mean, it's easy listening stuff, but it's like I don't need it. But whereas the Beach Boys, like, because I know several of the deep cuts where I'm like, like a song like, Till I Die from Surf's Up is one of my favorite songs. Love it. Surf's Up. I love that track. You're not going to find that on, like 15 Big Ones. Well, that's
right.
Another Beach
But would
Boys
you,
album.
let me push back. I'm not going to push back. This is why we're good at this. Would you apply that same sort of test to everything like pre-Pet Sounds? Like, do you have like the deep cuts from Surfer Girl?
No. I mean, like I have a couple of those records. But I'm not a diehard Beach Boys guy. I mean, I like a lot of Beach Boys, but I don't have, obviously like their later '70s stuff. I don't have their '80s stuff.
You ain't got that Kokomo.
No, I don't have. What was it, Cocktail that was on? The movie Cocktail. Yeah, I mean, I could see that because again, like that gold record, like Sounds of Summer, which was a huge one, like 2004 or so, 2002. That one, I mean, that was my only Beach Boys forever, until I heard Pet Sounds, and then like I was like, ooh, just having Wouldn't It Be Nice, God Only Knows, and Sleep John B was not enough for me.
It never is.
But no, I mean, I can definitely see that. And like, that's the thing, like you go to like, any kind of like gas station, like CVS or anything like that, you see like a Beach Boys comp. It's going to be the surf set. It's going to be fun, Barbara Ann, all that stuff. But
I mean, and what's the other big, I don't know, that there's like a huge suite off of, is Holland, is it maybe? That it's like
California suite.
Yeah.
That's Holland.
Yep.
On My Way to Sunny California. Which when I saw Brian and Al in 2016 doing the Pet Sounds tour, they did California Saga, like that one track, and it was so good because Al Jardine wrote that song. Mike sang it, but it was so cool to hear live. I became an instant fan of that song because of that tour.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, and actually, now thinking about it, I remember we did an episode, I guess, on our stream not too long. It was several months ago about comps. And we talked a lot about it. And I guess, more or less it is they're all opinion questions. It's like who those bands are that I think it's probably pretty normal that if it's a band that we love and we're all in on, we couldn't care less about the radio hits anymore. Right. Like we want the deep cuts. And also like, I think a general part of this hobby is that we're album listeners, right? That sequencing is an incredibly underrated and important part of record making,
especially post 1965. When the artists were really doing it, like from like Rubber Soul onward.
Yeah, like that. Not only and then you think about also with like CDs or the CD era or whatever, and I don't know to the extent. I just don't know that people, producers or artists think about that as much. But that, with a record, not only are you planning an opener and a closer, but you're planning 2 openers and 2 closers. I mean, like that to me, like the perfect sequenced album, and I mean, it's everybody's favorite, but the perfect sequenced album is Born to Run. Like specifically, like how we open with this on side A and we close with this on side A. We open with this on side B and we close with this with side B, and then we fill it in the middle. But I'm just trying to think of like some of those bands that for me, and I think you're right to a certain extent. Exactly. It's those singles bands, right? It's those bands that prior to 65 or whatever that didn't have that the album was not something that
it was a vessel to get the singles to you. Yeah.
Right.
With other throwaway tracks. I mean, don't kill me. I'm a Beatles guy. I'm wearing Paul McCartney's shirt, but even like Please Please Me and With the Beatles, those first 2 Beatles albums, they're not put together like records.
Sure.
It's a bunch of cover songs and some other things thrown in there. I mean, Hard Day's Night was 3rd, but that was a soundtrack. So like that had to go through with the movie. And then even going to the 4th album, Beatles for Sale, that's a bunch of covers, and like 8 Days a Week is on there. But other than that, it's not put together like, ooh, this is art. Like it's not.
Right.
So sorry people.
Well, you're not a Beatles fan, so.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not.
Yeah. Let's see. We got. How much do you reckon vinyl records would be worth today if we didn't have CDs in the day? All we knew was vinyl.
Probably the same.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's so. I don't know if you cringe when you hear these things, but I certainly do. Of like, these people who were in the early '90s, mid '90s, late '90s were just
tossing it.
Tossing their Blue Note records,
Glenn did it. Yeah.
Or people who bought Pearl Jam 10 or Nevermind when it came out on vinyl, and then they're like, well, this is stupid, and sold it for $1. And I hear those stories all the time of people who were like, getting into this hobby in the early 2000s where they were just buying shit up for dollars because they were just selling it for whatever it was worth in weight. And miles in weight of gold.
That was, I say the head and the heart, boy. 10,000. I say 10,000. I say 20,000.
I said 10,000, boy.
Hey, I say 10,000.
So it's one of those things of like, the value's gone up and down, and also a lot of that was due obviously to new mediums, but yeah. Oh,
and that's the thing too with like with CDs. I mean, even now, I mean, like CDs don't really matter anymore unless you're like a diehard, because like even cars, they're removing CD players from cars. So more people are collecting vinyl. I mean, was it the last 2 years now? Vinyl has outsold CDs. Yeah. And you go somewhere, like where it used to have like a huge CD inventory, like a Barnes and Noble or a Best Buy or a Target. You're not seeing CDs anymore. Like you're seeing like maybe 5 or 6 racks of like the new Taylor Swift, the new Beyonce record, but like you don't see, like you're not going through there and finding like, Barry Manilow's greatest hits. Like it's all about wax now. And CDs, you find them when you do, but other than online, you're not really going out hunting for CDs unless you go to a used record store.
Did you know? This is actually really funny because this is now the 2nd or 3rd Barry Manilow conversation I'm going to have in the last 3 days, which might be a new record. So actually, I think I do have like a Barry Manilow greatest hits. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Barry Manilow. And I love the song Mandy. Great. He didn't write it. He didn't write any of these hits, but do you know the story with like that song, why it's called Mandy?
I've heard about it. I don't know it.
Well, it's not that interesting. It's interesting to me, but like the original song as it was written was called Brandy. But it was around the exact same time that Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass was like number 1. So they didn't want to have 2 Brandys going on. And so they're like, what if we just changed it to Mandy?
That's pretty good.
So there you go.
That's I mean, as a kid, like I had like on my MP3 player. I mean, I listen to Copacabana all the time, but other than that, Barry doesn't do it for me.
See, that's the shit right there. That is ridiculous. I mean, great. You know what? Even $15 in 2001 is $25 today. It's not that much more, but yeah, I mean that's the shit, right? Like that was probably. But I'm curious, Trevor, when you bought that, you were probably like, do I want to do it? Oh, $15 for a fucking record? Really? Ugh.
Yeah, I can't play it in my car. I can't put it in my Walkman CD player.
I don't know. I'm going to make a statement. I don't necessarily agree with it, but I just want to know how you're going to respond, Trevor, or anybody else watching that's into it. $15 for a first of Metallica's best record? I don't know. What do you think, Trevor? What do you think? What do we got? Do you guys remember in the car there was? Oh yeah, and you had to like. Did you have to like tune it to like one of your like AM stations or
Static
something?
channel. Well, that's in one of my parents' early cars. That's how, because my dad had early satellite radio, like where you would stick it like in the vent of the car, the air conditioning, and you had to put the tape in to connect to satellite, and you put the little antenna, like you stuck it on top of the roof of the car. Yeah, I mean, I got one of those things for my first car. It was a 1995 Camry, and yeah, I mean, it didn't work half the time, but I did use it from time to time to pick up radio or to.
I mean, talk about audio fidelity. I mean, talk about hi-fi, audiophile stuff right there.
It is, yeah.
Of course, it was worth it to you. I'm asking you if you think it's their best album, Trevor. I don't need you to be like, it's worth it to me. Shut up. There's just something different about Kill 'Em All, man. It's just different. And well, I mean, I'm not a Metallica. I'm a huge Metallica fan, but I mean, obviously those first four are just everything. And I mean, I am a fan of the Black Album, but I think a lot of that too is very like if I grew up if I grew up loving Metallica and listening to every Metallica release as it came out, and then I heard the Black Album, I would probably be like, the fuck is this? But, when you grow up in the 2000s and you go backwards and hear those things, it's different. And this is the worst thing I've heard, Anthony, because I got to be careful Sam, now that I'm basically famous on YouTube, I have to be careful about the things I say to people.
Indeed.
I've just never been a Dave Mustaine fan by any means. And he's still bitter about the Metallica situation. I mean, it's 40 some odd years ago, and he's still mad about it. And
was he at their Hall of Fame induction?
I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah. Well, that's my favorite, Kyle, is Ride the Lightning. Hi, Alex and Sam. Hey, Randy.
Randy.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Looking forward to hearing it and watching it and all the things. I appreciate that. Get you in this good contest.
Oh, Chris is back.
Oh, fascinating. Thanks for coming back, Chris, for this important fact.
That's also what it felt like when Alex was at my place for 2 nights. On my pullout.
Sir, you got about 3 seconds to make this right.
I love you.
He's referring to me on a couch laying on a metal bar. He's not referring to his butthole while I'm visiting. All right.
Wow, the chats.
That's not true.
You respond, yeah, Chris, it's okay to tell the truth to us. We're not your boss. Oh gosh.
Okay, well, see, I mean, Trevor, that's the thing. But going back, I think I use this example all the time, right? Like we all love Steve. We talk about Steve all the time, and he mentions how he could never really get into the Dio era Sabbath stuff. Because it's like, no, like Ozzy's my guy, like Sabbath is my band, all that kind of stuff. But for me, and I mean, depending on when you might have listened to it, like I didn't grow up listening to Sabbath in that way where I had that such a ownership or like connection to that early stuff. Like I just heard those, I just heard Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules and was like, this is fucking great. This is amazing. But also I could totally understand how that would be different. I mean, realistically, look, same thing with Van Halen and Van Hagar. Like, yeah, people are going to obviously now they're going to look back at the different music too. But the people who grew up as David Lee Roth stands, of course, they're not going to like Sammy in the band. But for me, I just heard, whatever was popular and liked them both. Well, that makes one of us. All right. I love that. Yeah, I think I said this before. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he will. Let's see. Bands like Nine Inch Nails and Green Day have released their list on vinyl. Oh yeah. Ooh.
Have released their set list on vinyl.
I would guess that people of that generation would be into that for sure.
I don't need it. I mean,
that's not exactly your thing. Though. I don't need it either, Sam. That's not his question. His question is, do you think people would be into that?
Yeah, I think like the original pop punk and grunge people were gonna. I mean, not that Nine Inch Nails or either of those things, but yeah, I mean, I think there's that group that still hangs out at Spencer's that would like to buy that stuff.
Dude, first of all,
yes.
Anthony, you're the best, man. I love you, brother. And I'm glad you like my good F too. Thanks for stopping by, man.
Anthony must be smoking some meat if he's making dinner at 4:30.
See, I need what is it? Gretchen Goes to Nebraska. I need that record. I have what do I have? I have their debut, their debut, and then I have they did a couple for RSD a couple years ago. You might have not you, Sam. The cow might have. Was it like Manic Moonlight or something? And it's a weird era for them, but they pressed those for Record Store Day a couple years ago. They're limited and numbered. I mean, they're limited for a reason because people like me and Kyle are into King's X. But yeah, it's good stuff. Great band. Damn. All right.
Here's the what?
I was gonna ask you how the Miller Lite was hitting.
It's been a while since I've had the ML.
Yeah. Don't need that heartburn.
Tom Petty and the Heartburns.
Oh, this is great. Randy, yeah. Wow. So yeah, I mean, Michael Stanley Band was huge. In fact, when he died just a couple of years ago, it was a huge deal in Ohio. Specifically, in the Cleveland area, which is where I grew up. He was also a DJ for the local, I think, WNCX 98.5 in Cleveland for a long time. So Michael Stanley was like a beloved Ohio, and he just sort of epitomized that sort of just Midwest sort of AOR rock and roll sort of thing. So yeah, people loved him. I remember like when I was in high school, so we're talking mid 2000s, 2004, 2005. I would go to there was a venue. I think it's gone through so many venue change names over the years, but it was Plain Dealer Pavilion, Scene Pavilion, whatever it is now. But it's the venue on the Cleveland Flats. Probably seats maybe, I don't know, I'd guess 3,500 people maybe. And I remember seeing the Allman Brothers there. And I remember seeing Counting Crows with Goo Goo Dolls there. I mean, I remember seeing some of these huge bands there. Michael Stanley Band sold out like a week. Like, I mean, he did like a full like Cleveland residency. People loved the Michael Stanley Band.
Yeah, I don't know him.
Well, yeah, I mean, you ain't from Ohio. Oh, so shit.
Yeah.
Chainsaw and all, right? I mean, he had to bust out the chainsaw, right? Jack will bust out chainsaws, Sam. That's it. Please come home, Mr. Bulbous. And tape. Do I guess maybe I do have all three. I have to double check that. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay. Watching the videos people have made for your channel, have you discovered new artists or music has helped me rediscover artists and bands? That's a good question. I don't know that it's made me rediscover. I think it's probably reminded me of some people. It's like people share a very personal story or connection. I go like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. I mean, the constant thing. Rob and I have talked about this before, but Rob shared a video or shared his reason why he loves The Darkness and that Permission to Land album. And I remember listening to that album like 2002 or 3 or whatever it was, something like that. I remember listening to that a lot. And so yeah, I think it's just some good reminders or things that people have brought up that have taken me back a little bit too. But you know what? More importantly, in this, I think we all need to hear sometimes, Sam. All of us need to hear, right? Is at the end of the fucking day, music is important to us because of how it makes us feel and the memories and the connections that we have to it.
Right.
And I say that because as people are sharing these stories and whatever it is of like, oh, this was about my friend, or like this is about a parent or a loved one, or whatever that is, it's like, I don't think anybody in their right mind is sitting here and being like, yeah, but like he's not my favorite drummer, like but that band kind of sucks,
Yeah.
like you always think about that. And it's like, no, like that's why people are fans of music though, is because of that emotional connection. And I've always said this before, and people go shitty about it because I don't like, maybe I should look in the camera and be like, do you think that I should stop drinking beer? But it's like, at some point, like the Beatles, I'm going to say this, Sam, you'll probably agree with me because I think you have before, and this is where people start clenching buttholes, is like, the Beatles are amazing, right? Amazing. They were the first to do everything except a lot of stuff, but it's okay, It's like,
they didn't rap.
No, but they did steal a lot of black music, but it's fine. But like the point is like the Beatles were amazing. They're the greatest to ever do it. They were doing shit in studios that no one's ever done before. They were writing songs that no one's ever written before. All those different things. And all of that can be true. And that's also not why people were shitting and pissing their pants seeing them. That's like Beatlemania. People were not here sitting there being like, oh my God, like, think about the work they do in the studio.
Yeah, the 14-year-old girls were not doing that.
No, I don't know who was doing those things. And so, like, I'm not saying that's why it's like I hate when people are like bringing up this whole like, it's just people who want like clicks or people to view, or they want to like start a ruckus or whatever of like, is Taylor Swift better than the Beatles? It's like this type of stuff. And it's like, this is stupid. And like B, and most importantly, is like, if you are talking about like a cultural impact in media and in popular in culture in society, like people aren't sitting there going like, well, yeah, but like, it's no Sergeant Pepper, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, no, like people have a connection to the music because that's art and that's how art works. Like, that's what it was. And both things can be true. The Beatles can be and are the greatest thing since pre-sliced bread, 1000%. But also, is a lot of the credit to that them being the best were also because they were the most popular. What comes first, right? Is it the popularity that comes first? Are they? And is it an art form? Okay, now we're going, Sam. About 5 beers in, let's have some fun.
You got that straight.
In an art form, in art, right? Whether it's painting or comedy or anything else, we like to judge quality, right? Like we say that there's no such thing, but we love to do it. So-and-so's better, that album sucks, that artist sucks, all those different things. My question is the do we rate quality of art is the most accurate guide to rating art popularity? Since we would say that art is something that is meant to connect and meant to evoke emotions and all those different things. My point is could I say that Taylor Swift is the best musical artist right now? If I'm basing that purely on popularity and how she has impacted people,
then yes.
Then absolutely, right? Yeah. I don't think that Taylor Swift can play guitar like Eddie Van Halen can, but that's also not my question.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll defer to you. I'm getting in my head.
No, I mean it's interesting because like, that's kind of like why so many people are so quick to like be hipster and be like, like, I like this band that has, they just have one EP, but they're the greatest thing that's ever happened. And again, it's like that's the art concept of it. But again, with your contest and people that are connecting to things, I mean, like I showed a soundtrack to a movie from 2002 that is not a great movie. Probably the music's probably not even that great either. But to me, it made an impact on me. It was Spirit, the Spirit soundtrack for the cartoon with Bryan Adams. and for me that stuck out. I mean, again, like I make no secret to say that I love boy bands. I love NSYNC. I love the Backstreet Boys because it connects to me being 6 years old with like my first couple of CDs or cassette tapes, listening to it on my, like my Fisher Price tape set.
Right.
And so like, is it art? Like, would I go to an NSYNC concert and think Max Martin did a great job on the production of those songs? No, I'm going to be singing the hits and being like, that song takes me back to, 1999 to 2000 when I was, a kid in kindergarten. So like you said, like, I mean, and that's another thing. Like you take these mega concerts that are coming out. I mean, you see like, like Rolling Stones bringing the most money and they're in their 80s. And then people are like, you see the Rolling Stones are bringing in more money than Taylor Swift and they're in their 80s. But they're also, charging maybe $100 more ticket. So it's very hard to say.
Well, yeah. And I guess look, people love a comparison and they love a ranking and they love looking at the camera and asking stupid questions. Like, it's like, that is sort of a thing that people love doing. But I think my problem with it is that, and maybe this is just me being too like, can't we all just get along, but like, you can compare artists and you can have like an adult conversation about these things without actively like shitting on people's like experiences, or especially in this case, like shitting on okay, like I'll be honest with you, right? Like when we see like the Taylor Swift comparisons, I would venture to say 75 to 80% of the comments of people shitting on Taylor Swift has some pretty obvious like sexist type connotations to it. Some just full on like, she doesn't, what she should be doing is doing this instead of doing that, like that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, cool. Okay, great. Like, and you have, it's like, the guy with the Facebook profile with the shades on, that's like, he's got like whatever sort of thing. And so it's just like interesting. But I think the long story short, taking it back to like the video thing, is it's like, I've heard, I guess what I've learned is like watching all of these videos, people would be like, here's this album. And I would like look at this band. I'd be like, really? You like that band? Or like, really? You like that artist? Like, really? You're into Spirit?
Yeah.
And then people share the story and you're like, fuck, like, I'm the asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I share it all the time. Like, I don't know what role they play in my life right now, but like Def Leppard's one of my favorite bands ever. Yeah. Because they're the first band I genuinely like. I look back to when I was in high school and I was gooping my pants over this shit. And, it's like, again, like I couldn't care less what they're doing right now, but like, you better believe that they're playing near me, I'm going to go see them and I'm going to be back being like 14 or 15 again.
That's the thing. Like if you had never heard a Def Leppard song and like tomorrow you hear, Pyromania for the first time, you might say like, I'm not feeling this. I mean, I want to listen to something else that I prefer. But because those records, especially those early stuff that you're listening to, you're going to go out and you're going to buy that that RSD covers set or whatever it is. Just like me, I mean, like if I was to go back and listen to that Spirit soundtrack, I'd probably be like, this is so corny. This stuff is so corny. But I listened to it, like I just listened to it maybe January this year, and I was like, those songs, like they take me back to a place, whether it's good music or not. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And again, like, what does define good music? What does that
mean? Yes, it does. I mean, I've gotten to that point too, especially once I got into my 20s. Like I was not like in high school, me, I would never have told anybody that I liked, Backstreet Boys songs.
But you know what's so funny though about that? I don't know. I think we might have talked about this before though. To me, it makes perfect sense that like, and this word, whatever, but like, to me, it tracks that. Like, I think there is a clear line that you could draw between you liking and enjoying like, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, whatever. You never really, seem to be much of an O-Town fan to me, but like with your love of the bands like the Beatles and bands like the Monkees, like there is this sense of, like, yeah, like we all sing. It's harmonies. It's
hooks.
it's hooks for sure. It's hooks, right? Like, I know people.
NSYNC wasn't an album band. I mean, they were putting out the singles for the teenage girls in the 90s.
Sure. And I mean, you could say the same thing about a lot of those early 60s or mid 60s bands. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Monkeys for sure.
And so it's just interesting of like why I don't know why there's like this sense that like it's like if you listen to a band or an artist, if you listen to music, Sam, you need to listen to that music for the same reason I do. And you have to be looking for the same things that I do. And if you don't, you're just wrong and stupid. You know what I mean? Like it has that sort of like sense to it. And I know that some people are just like, they're just having conversations. They're just, they're just debating. They're just having these different things. But it's like, it's like we see all the time with like these ranking lists, right? Like, of course, everybody wants to talk about like Rolling Stone ranking their 500 greatest XYZ. Well, yeah, people like to talk about it because I think also they know it's going to get views and that's great for their channel and I'll support that. That's great. So it's like, sorry, I just saw Chris's comment and you and I have talked about this. And so I'm going to jump to that in a second.
Chris, first of all, let me just say, I think I'll speak for Alex for this. Chris is one of those guys. I think that like if you and I, Alex, Jason, like if we ever met you, Chris, I feel like we would just fall right into place together.
Oh.
Like, Chris is an awesome guy.
I would have a beer with Chris.
Yeah.
I don't know if Chris drinks beer. I don't know if Chris drinks at all. I don't even know if Chris is 21. I bet he is.
You'll take
or 19. For that
we get the milkshakes with Chris.
We'll get milkshakes. He might be lactose intolerant. We will get dairy free. We will get soy milkshakes with Chris. That's it. So, but okay, so that's another thing, and I'm not trying to. I think this is just general. We're not going to like call people out, but like it's like a general thing. Like you and I have talked about this a lot, Sam. Of like, there's this video thing that it's like after a while, people are just like, I'm going to make a video about everything I hate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, why? Like, why? Or like, here's 10 albums in my collection that I wish were not in my collection. Like, okay, like thanks.
Well, I think that's kind of become a problem with the VC, and I mean we're getting some drama here.
Oh, here we go.
It's almost 5 o'clock, so you know what Kenny Chesney says. Drink a beer. Because again, I know there's some people on the stream because the VC is an older demographic, because it's a lot of people that are retired. It's a lot of people that are happy to share their collection, which is awesome. I've gotten into so much music. I got into record collecting because of the VC. But I don't want to hear artists that you hate. When I first started listening to the VC, I would have probably been all in. But the more educated that I've become in listening and talking about music, listening to, interviews and this and that, I don't want to hear you talk about why you hate, even music that I don't like. Like, I mean, I don't need to hear you talk about, Kanye West. Like, I don't need to hear it. I don't need to hear it. I want to hear about stuff that I'm going to learn about. And that's the thing. Like, usually, like the things that we don't like, we're not really educated in. Like it's not like I'm going to like buy like the entire, discography of an artist that I hate and then do that for the sake of making a video. Some people might, but I won't. Yeah. Because like I'm not going to be educated enough to talk about why I don't like, these artists in the top 40 now, or these, artists for genres that I just have no interest in. Yeah. So,
well, I think, it's so interesting going to California. Yeah, I saw that Scott just did it on the Prod Corner, and I love Scott. Like Scott and I have done a lot of stuff together and all that kind of stuff. And, not to say that some people do it better than others, but, it's like, but we've also, Sam, you and I have both been in, streams or videos or stuff like that where we're sitting there sharing a record and a story or something, the reason why we love something. And whether it's somebody else on the panel or somebody in the comments or whatever, it's like, we'll just, and look, I want to be clear here. Like, I'm not trying to police people's opinions of music. Like, it's just like, and you can also say like, oh yeah, like that's awesome. They've never really done it for me, but cool. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's great. We love that. But like, there's been times like people have been being like, oh, I just saw my favorite artist last night.
Yeah.
It was the best concert I've ever been to. Like, I'm just, I'm on cloud 9 right now. This is great. And then like someone's just like, yeah, I hate them. They suck.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, like, thank you for your, thank you for this. This is great.
Yeah, you're still on a high. Yeah. You paid all this money to go see somebody you love or buy
Yeah.
a t-shirt or whatever. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, even like for me, like, I mean, again, I'm wearing a Paul McCartney shirt now. I bought seeing him 2 years ago. If somebody's like, if I'm on a stream and somebody's like, why would you go see Paul McCartney? His voice sucks. His last 20 years of music is nothing. I'm like, I saw Paul McCartney. I just spent, $100 and $150 between the ticket and a t-shirt and parking, maybe $200. I'm like, I had a good time. I'm loving it. I don't regret a thing. And you're going to be like, yeah, I don't care. They're terrible. Like, for example, you go see Uriah Heep. You're going to go see Uriah Heep with Steve and Gary. That's not a group I'll probably ever buy a record for, but I want to hear your experience. I want to hear what y'all talked about. I want to hear if there was like a crazy thing that happened on stage. That's interesting to me. I mean, one of my channels that I love to watch is, and I'll give him a plug. It's Hub Tunes and Mike. Yeah. He's always talking about concerts. I have zero interest in the music that he's talking about, but I want it because he does such a good job at talking about a show. He gives you the background. He's like, like I caught so-and-so and like we had drinks before the show and, I was at this venue and like, they threw out, the drumstick or like stuff like that. Like, I'm like, I eat that stuff up. I love to hear concert reviews.
Yeah.
Whether I like it or not. If somebody goes to see, a Beyonce, a Taylor Swift show, whatever, I want to hear it. If it's somebody that like I enjoy watching and like that I have a rapport with, I'm going to watch it. So,
yeah.
Even if I don't care about the music.
Yeah. I think that's, different. I actually mentioned this on the video that just posted on my channel of like, look, like people are probably here for like 2 or 3 reasons. The first is that you're just a good supportive friend in person and you watch Alex's videos and leave a comment like, Alex, thank you so much for the video. I'm so glad you posted that video. Cheers. Because you're great people. And then other people are going to click on it because they're Al Di Meola or Return to Forever fans. And they're like, oh, cool, someone's talking about that. And then maybe there's a group in the middle that's in the middle of like, well, I'm curious what he has to say. This is maybe something I might be interested in. I don't really know. But like, I think that's indicative of a lot of these videos of like some people are just going to watch and comment because they're great and they're supportive and other people are going to have a great interest in it. And I'll say this too, to Will's comment of like, it's not the negative comments. I mean, I love a good, like, I don't know if you feel this way, Sam, as you run away. Like, one of my favorite like things is just like sitting down at the bar and having like a good philosophical disagreement with somebody, but like hearing that and and it's not very dramatic, huge like political disagreements per se, but just like, here's how I've always felt, here's how I've always experienced this, and then someone else says that's great, here's how I've always felt and experienced it. Like that's a huge thing. I love that type of stuff. And there are people who have left, comments on both of our channels that are, I don't want to say negative because I don't want to say like just because someone disagrees with you or negative. Like I've gotten comments where people are like, hey, Alex, like glad you had a great show. Like I hate jazz, but I'm glad you had a great time. That's amazing. Like I'm not going to push back and be like, I can't believe you hate jazz, you piece of shit. Like that's not, I'm like, this is great. I appreciate you being supportive sort of thing. I showed 3 Return to Forever records in this past video. And I said, look, I think if you're going to try to tip your toes into jazz fusion, these are 3 great places to start. If someone disagrees with that and they're like, I disagree with that, I think these 2 are going to be a better place to start. I love that. Like that to me is just good. It's not even debate. Like that's just communicating. That's just great. But that's very different than somebody who's just like, Al Di Meola sucks, and you're like, yeah. Look, that's not going to offend me. But I'm like, thank you for your time. Like, thank you for taking the time. Or the people who say, who cares about this? And it's like, well, yeah, you took the time to comment about this. So like, somebody does. So.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I heard some of what you were saying. I texted you a week or so ago. I usually get like comments, but
that's a great point. Yeah.
But no, like I texted you a week or so ago, I had a similar debate with an aunt and uncle of mine, where they made a statement. I'm not even going to bring it up because I don't want to see the chat blow up, about a very well loved band that they thought was overrated, and we talked for maybe 25 minutes about and they're not music people, and it kind of goes back to another question or another statement that somebody mentioned, or something that you were mentioning, Alex, about artists that don't make, even like today, like the CDs and the records that are coming out now, or even going back to the single age because of Spotify and things like that. Like people aren't necessarily listening to the full record. But my uncle, who is 50 years old, was saying that he only has about 5 albums that he could listen to all the way through and like not hate himself. And I'm thinking I'm like the records that even like the records in my collection on the lower tier, I'm going to listen to them all the way through. Like I hate the idea of skipping a song on a record. I do. It's just it's not there anymore for me.
Yeah.
I have to listen to it, whether it's whether it's like a really bad, for some people, 80s Bob Dylan record, or some 25-minute Beach Boys record. Like I want to hear every song, and then I want to learn, like, why does this album hold the standard that it has in the music world? Like, why is it considered great? Why is it considered terrible? I want to know. But anyway.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. And also, there's an element too, with all due respect to your family. It's like if you got 5 albums that you're able to listen to all the way through, like I don't know if I want your music opinion.
Exactly. The funny part is he was a guitar major in college, so he has like a classical background, and that's the thing. I'm like, I don't really want to hear it. And that's the thing. Like, as soon as they said that this group was overrated, I was like, that's all I need to know. Like, I don't need anything else. I'll be happy to debate you, but that's the opinion that I have right there. Boom.
But okay, so that's what. Let me get to this comment, and then I want to bring. This is good. This is good talk. I've heard that too. I was actually visiting a local shop, and the shop owner, him and I, cut up all the time about just different shows going on. He's a jazz fusion guy. He's never been an Al Di Meola fan. And I think I mentioned it a little bit in my video of, like, I think the people Al definitely, I think, was one of the first people that sort of, he's a technical virtuoso, studied at Berklee College of Music, like widdly kind of guy. Like, and I think there's a strong sense of people that don't want to fuck with that. And I totally understand that. Like, I get that for sure. It's the same reason that people might not like John Petrucci, or they don't like, other people, right? And so, he was one of those guys I was talking to. He's like, honestly, the only Return to Forever I listen to is stuff without Al, and the only Al Di Meola stuff I listen to is when it has McLaughlin and Paco de la Chia on it. And so, I totally get that. In so many ways. But Sam, the question I was going to have for you is, okay, because I don't know who the artist is, and it doesn't matter. I mean, let's just say it's the Beatles. I actually don't know if it is, but since the Beatles came up earlier, let's just say. But another one of these terms that will have multiple meanings is like overrated versus underrated, right? There is an argument that the Beatles are the greatest of all time, that they're the best rock band, best pop band, best psych band, best everything.
Yeah.
And they might be overrated. Like those two things can exist.
Yeah.
Like who knows, right? Let's just start getting people going, right? Like, I love Led Zeppelin. They might be overrated. Like, they could be. I think there's a lot of examples of that, right? Like,
you go with Elvis, you could go earlier.
You go with anyway, right? Like, it's weird to me that people will rank the greatest guitar player of all time someone who died when they were 27. Because there's people who have been playing guitar and ripping it for 60 years.
Jimmy Page, David Gilmour. Yeah.
Or, so again, this is no disrespect to Jimi Hendrix or anybody
else. It's all
hypothetical.
Like,
all these things have different meanings to them, of like, what does that mean, overrated, underrated, right? Like, I mean, we would say the Beatles are the greatest of all time, but I don't think anybody would look at any of the individual. Here's what's actually funny. We would say the Beatles are the greatest of all time. But if we look at the individual musicians within the Beatles and them and their importance to the instrument that they played, I think, or the instruments that they played, yes, I do think you get a lot of people who love Paul McCartney as a bass player.
Yeah.
But more than anything, you will get a gazillion fucking drummers, and Ringo is the top.
Mm.
And I think that is so interesting because obviously the ongoing joke has always been like, what about Ringo? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but you ask a fucking musician and you ask a drummer.
Yep.
Like, nobody. I love George Harrison. Not a lot of people are putting George Harrison at the top of their guitar player lists.
Right.
Again, a lot of people do talk about Paul and his influence on playing bass. An amazing bass player.
Yep.
But it's interesting. You talk to drummers, especially of that classic rock era of the 70s, 80s, into the 90s. So many of them are citing Ringo as the guy.
Mm.
And that's fascinating considering for the public, he's the joke, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting how that works.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I mean, yeah, I'll go ahead and say yes. The band that was in question was the Beatles, but you used them as an example. So like, I mean, so that was the thing, was like that the Beatles are overrated. And so I went through a whole spiel about everything, and that's a great point. Yeah, because like on the other end of the spectrum, you take a group like Led Zeppelin. All four guys could be the top of their craft. Robert Plant, greatest frontman. Jimmy Page, greatest. John Paul Jones. Bonham.
Sure. Yeah.
They're the top. They could be the top. The same with the Who. I mean, Entwistle, Moon, Townsend for like rhythm guitar at least, and then Daltrey, frontman. Yeah. Groups like that are huge. But yeah, you take groups like the Beatles, you take groups like the Stones. Like people aren't putting Keith Richards as the greatest guitar player. Like in the vast array of things.
Yeah.
Charlie Watts, similar to Ringo. He's there. He's doing exactly what he needs to do for that type of music. And my uncle, another uncle who I play music with, was in this conversation. He was a drummer. And he was talking about Ringo, and this is an uncle who's a Stones guy, and he said, there was a video where like a drummer was like, poo-pooing all over Ringo, saying like, oh, his is easy, and they're like, well, how about you listen to this song once, and then you play what Ringo's playing, and see if you can do it the same way. And the drummer was listening to it, and like, so he started doing this thing, but he was not hitting the fills that Ringo was hitting.
Yeah.
And then when he started like playing along to Ringo, it took him a few tries to actually get in sync with Ringo. Because Ringo is playing exactly what he needs to play. He's a lefty on a righty kit, so that gives him an extra little delay in his playing because he's like hitting over, whereas like he should be like this. He's doing like an over, so he's like half a second, half a beat behind. And again, that goes into the whole question: what is overrated? Is that even a word that should be used by intellectual people? I don't think it should be. Because I mean, like, people could say again, the person that the VC loves to bash, Taylor Swift. Is Taylor Swift overrated? It doesn't make any sense. Like, what is overrated?
What does that mean? Right?
What does it mean?
Is she not selling out every fucking arena ever?
She's filling out football stadiums. Yeah, like 3 nights in a row.
Right.
She could re-record all of her songs 100 times. It's going to go to number one at this moment in time.
Right.
Is she the greatest vocalist? No. Is she the greatest guitar player? No. Is she the greatest songwriter? No. But she's doing exactly what she needs to do at exactly the time. And that's just coming from somebody who is not a Taylor Swift fan. Yeah. I have 2 sisters who love her.
Like you hate her.
Right. Yeah. I have like an effigy that I burn from the 3rd floor here. Yeah. But no, it's I think overrated is a cop out. And I think a lot of the VC uses that cop out. Like that was a huge thing with Drake. Like Drake beat a Beatles record on streaming. And then again, you have to go into the whole thing of streaming versus physical sales. You can't, it's like comparing the old, like to use sports. You can't compare old baseball players to new baseball players with they're playing these wooden bats, with these gloves that are essentially just like, they're just like on the hand, like there's no padding. You can't compare the old and the new. You just can't do it. It's a new era. To use a Taylor Swift thing.
Yeah. I totally agree. And the other reality too is that we like to compare. I hate to say just apples and oranges because everybody says that, but we like to compare things that aren't even in the same galaxy and put them side by side, right? Like, who's the greatest? Who's the greatest singer of all time? Who's the greatest guitar player of all time? Like, do you want to compare a Ella Fitzgerald to a Robert Plant to a Frank Sinatra
to
an Adele, to an Adele,
yeah,
to a Michael Bublé.
Yeah.
Like I know, like, you know what I mean? Or like, and that's why I think, like, you know, it's like we see a lot of these like Rolling Stone lists and all those different things, right? Of like the greatest, and you're like, well, okay, to be fair, like they are crossing a lot of different styles and genres these days, where I think a lot of Rolling Stone purists from years past are looking for just give me my 70s hard rock.
Yeah.
Like, I want to see you compare Clapton to Page to Beck.
Yeah.
They don't want to see Clapton being compared to Kurt Cobain, being compared to
Gary Clark Jr.
Or Buckethead or Marcus King or anything like that.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, that also plays a role in sort of in a lot of these areas. Sam, I'm going to need you to entertain the crowd really quick. I have to use the boys' room per usual. I don't know if I highlighted this, but you're totally right. Like, the thing they would always say is Ringo's biggest. He played to the song. He played to the song. He played to the song. I'm sitting there going, that to me is the greatest drummer of all time. You know what I mean? Like, if someone told me that Ringo was the greatest drummer of all time, would I disagree with them? Like, based on what? Like, because he's not out there like an octopus? I don't know. Hey, Rachel, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you're doing amazing on this maniacal Monday. All about the context. Yeah, go ahead and warm them up, people. All right, good talk.
No, I mean, it kind of goes without saying. I mean, again, you can talk all day about the Beatles. You can talk all day about, you know, the artists that the VC loves to hate. But I mean, that's just like where like I lose interest. Like, if you're going to talk about, you know, for 20 minutes about an artist that you hate, I don't care. Like, I don't want to hear it. I might completely agree with you, but I don't need to hear it. Am I saying that you're allowed to do it? Absolutely. You're allowed to do it. You can do anything you want. As long as you're not hurting somebody else, you know, literally hurting somebody else. But yeah, I mean, like, if you want to make a video about, you know, why Ringo Starr sucks, you know, what's that going to do for you? Like, is that just something for you to say, like, oh, I'm going against the grain, you know, like, or if you say, you know, like, oh, I want Taylor Swift to take a hike. Like, what's that going to do to anybody, other than kind of feeding your own ego, I guess. I don't know. Look at you double fisting that.
Well, it's not double fisting. It's just a save a trip.
But no, I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, like, if you want to think something, again, even if I fully agree with you and would pat you on the back in person, I don't need to see it all over YouTube or the internet saying, like, oh, Ringo Starr sucks. He's a very simplistic drummer, and Paul McCartney could drum too, and so John Lennon could drum a little bit. So, like, I mean, again, that's the thing. Like, you hear songs like, you know, Back in the USSR and Dear Prudence. Both of those tracks were Paul playing drums because Ringo had quit the Beatles. They're two great Beatles songs, but, you know, Ringo made them the Beatles. Again, we've talked about that a million times. You can't have one element without the other element. And again, I don't want to hear why you think one of them sucks. I don't.
I was just sitting here thinking, you know, not to, and I do have opinions, right? Like, if I were to ask you, Sam, who do you think is the greatest guitarist of all time? Just answer. What comes to mind first?
Of all time, I mean,
just say somebody for a second. It don't matter.
Jimmy Page.
Great.
Page.
Love that. Thank you. You know, I if someone were to ask me off of who I thought was the greatest drummer of all time, and, you know, I might have my own sort of rubric on what I look at as drummer, right? Like, I do look at things like when people ask greatest on an instrument, maybe I'm unpopular in this, but I do look at things like technical proficiency. How good are they actually playing the instrument? As long as influence and impact and a number of other things. But if someone asks me, like, the greatest drummer to me in music history, to me, I would probably go with Neil Peart.
Okay.
I could not imagine, nor do I want, Neil Peart playing in the fucking Beatles. And so it's like,
No.
You know what I mean? Like I don't want Neil Peart playing in Led Zeppelin. And so I think
or backing Miles Davis, you know.
Right. And so it's like, you know, people say like Ry Cooder or whatever for guitar. That's great. I love that for you, and people are gonna have their own opinion of that and why it's important, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's just interesting how that comes to it. Now, if you want to talk about like influence, or you want to talk about how did they pave the way for the next generation of musicians and bands and artists and all those different things like that is a different conversation. But I never, when someone ever asks the greatest, everybody will have a different rubric about what that means. I always share this story because it's funny. Again, like, I love Led Zeppelin, I love Jimmy Page, but when I was in high school and really getting into music, I fell in the like proggy metally type of well that is like everybody has to be so technically proficient at everything they do. Like if they were not schooled at the college of Berklee College of Music and all those different things, then they're not worth it. And I remember hearing, because I look back at it now, like, to me, and still looking back on it, right? Like, I don't know how, and I'll use two examples. To me, Jimi Hendrix playing the Star Spangled Banner, it feels and sounds like a joke. Like, is he in tune? Do we know? Do we care? Is it more about his expression? Is it more about how he popularized? Like, what is it about? Because when I hear when I hear Jimi Hendrix doing the Star Spangled Banner, I hear someone wanking off out of tune, and it sounds awful to me. The same way Jimmy Page playing the solo bit in the outro of Heartbreaker.
Because like that, I think about that particular song, you can tell he's using a different guitar, because like you can hear the edit on that song when he switches guitars.
But it's like he's playing this. I'm sitting there going like, this feels so sloppy. This feels so untechnical. This feels so bleh. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, yeah. To the person who's a guitar professor who teaches modes at Belmont, like, sure, but like that's not that is a very specific type of thing where we are measuring and rubricing versus other stuff, versus influence, versus composition, versus songwriting, versus all those different things, right? I think, and I'm curious what the people say in the comments. There's probably not a comment for you, Sam, because it's not your jammy jam, but for me, I love this conversation of people who bring up Kirk Hammett as one of the greatest guitar players of all time. Kirk Hammett, in my opinion, isn't even the greatest guitar player in his band. I'm curious what people think.
Well, it's interesting. Again, you can always go back. You can always go back to the Beatles. I mean, like McCartney and Lennon could rip on guitar. Like you hear the song "The End" by the Beatles. Those solos, that's them going in rotation. George, John, Paul, or whatever the order is. And that's the thing. Like again, like we talked about the Lemon Twigs earlier. All those guys, all the four touring members, can all play different instruments. And so it's very hard to say who's the greatest, because I even think we did a video on one of our streams talking about our favorite drummer, our favorite guitarist. McCartney was one of my favorite guitar players, just because I like his tone. I like how he kind of is kind of sloppy on the guitar. But anyway, somebody I don't want to lose the comment. The Vinyl Man asked me a question a little earlier about a concert. We have a few comments.
He asked you a question?
Yeah, he was asking about I think he asked when's the last time I went to a concert that I didn't know anything about the artist.
Oh yeah, I do remember seeing that. Yeah.
It was probably maybe 2017. First of all, because concerts are so expensive. And I think it was the Sam Bush Band, who is he's been playing. He's part of the bluegrass revival scene from the 1970s. And I was working at a music venue at the time doing blogging, and it was a free show because I was able to get in free as a volunteer. And I went, and was blown away. It was like that's still I think the most surprising concert that I've ever been to where I didn't know anything about them. I also saw Sister Hazel later that year, and other than their big hit "All for You," that was a great.
Look around your world, pretty baby.
That's a different song, but
Oh yeah, it is.
So that song is like and when we turn around, another time, and then
All right.
it's all for you, being with you. It's hard to say something to do.
No, okay. Well, we're both singing Sister Hazel though, because it was.
What song are you singing? No.
Well,
Your song's on Sister Hazel.
Shut. Keep going. We're losing the people.
We're not talking about '90s one hit wonders band. That's not going to keep the people on. So that
I think it was like Blues Traveler Jr.
Yeah. Blues Traveler's like.
Keep it going, Sam.
Which is like that's also called Run Around, isn't it? That's called Run Around.
The Blues Traveler song is, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Comments.
Yeah. Okay, so Sister Hazel was the last one you saw. But yeah, I mean, some great points here. Yeah, greatest doesn't equal favorite, and all that kind of stuff. Or but it's just like if we're just people just ask like, who do we like the best, right? Like, yeah. Hey Jeff, good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I mean, no, I like, but it's like the point is that people will identify the most popular or the biggest bands, and then they will just identify whoever plays that instrument of like, well, they're obviously the greatest. Metallica, as much as I like them, is kind of a funny example because I don't, I'm personally like, I think if we're getting down to it, like, I think James Hetfield's a better guitarist than Kirk Hammett is. Like, I think he's a much better writer, and I mean, Kirk plays leads, and people get, they goop themselves over some of these solos. But my favorite part is watching that documentary, Some Kind of Monster, and James playing the song for him, and he can't play a riff. He can't play it. And that's, I mean, no disrespect, but it's just one of those things of like, this is interesting. Like okay. Yeah. Whew, man. So anyways, yeah, the Beatles suck for sure. Like just, it's terrible, Let's see.
You said you have 4 concerts lined up for the end of this week. You're obviously doing Uriah Heep. Who else is? What else do you have going on there?
Yeah, Uriah Heep and Saxon on Friday. That's down in Cincinnati. And then Saturday is the Twigs. Tomorrow is going to a show with a friend, kind of a progressive metal, hardcore, post-hardcore, metalcore band called Periphery. I don't know if anybody out there in the comments is a Periphery fan, but a good buddy of mine is a fan, and I like them well enough to go and also see them. So that's tomorrow. And then Wednesday is Heart and Cheap Trick. So
you're going.
So that'll be fun. And that I think it's I obviously I love both those bands, but to me, I'm excited to see Anne sing live. That's kind of like one of those like music bucket list sort of things. So just seeing Anne just rip it up live would be awesome. So yeah.
They were I don't know how they're selling around here, but they for like a day only, they were given like a buy one get one kind of deal.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but
well, they're playing at like the local. They're playing at a place here called the Schottenstein Center, which is where Ohio State men's basketball, or Ohio State basketball plays. And so it's like 18,000, 19,000 seat arena, and I was like, that feels kind of big. But also like, it's like, well, that feels kind of big, but 8,000 feels kind of small. And so if there's nothing in between, what do you do? You know what I mean? So
that's I mean, they're playing at the basketball stadium at UVA, University of Virginia, which is I think 15,000. I mean, I've seen Elton there, I've seen Stevie Wonder, I've seen McCartney, I've seen the Avett Brothers there, and I mean they get a lot of different folks. So, but like when I saw Stevie there, they curtained out like the last like 20 rows. I mean, we got our tickets for like $25 or $30.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. One of the guitarists in Periphery is John Petrucci's nephew. So it's interesting. Yeah, the gent thing. Sam, have you heard of gent?
I haven't.
So it's a subgenre, I guess, of metal, but whatever. A subgenre metal, progressive metal, a very specific emphasis on down-tuned guitars, maybe 7-string guitars, maybe 8-string guitars, very rhythmic. It's not really something that I am personally into, but this band Periphery, like the name of their album that they're touring for is called Gent Is Not a Genre. It's literally the album's name is Periphery 5, Gent Is Not a Genre. And so it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. I think they're going to be cool live. It's a small venue. It's on certainly on the heavier side of things that I'm into. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. She's getting up there, and that shit doesn't last forever.
Yeah,
I always relate these things. Sam, one of my favorite movies of all time. It's like a top 3. There are some days that's my favorite movie of all time. Is Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
You remove like the sort of white savior complex from that, and like maybe it's up there more. But it's like thank God for Kevin Costner saving like indigenous, American Native Americans. But there's one of the opening lines that always sticks with me, which is he's become a Civil War hero, and they ask him where he wants to be posted at, and he says basically out west, and they're like, really? Because there's nothing out there, right? Like there's nothing. It's not owned by anybody. It's literally the Wild West. And he says before it's gone. And I think about that with all these bands that we want to see of
wow.
Even if band's not sounding great, I want to go see these bands. I want to go see them before they're gone. It's we don't have much time to do this shit anymore. And that came up with Paul earlier, right? Anybody who's should Paul McCartney retire? I'm shut up. Just shut the fuck up. No, I will go see Paul McCartney until he I don't care if Paul McCartney can't talk anymore.
Right.
I'm going to go see him.
Well, it's like the Genesis tour, the farewell tour with Phil Collins. It was oh, Phil's looking rough. He's sitting up there on a chair. It looks bad. Yeah. Or Brian Wilson, he did his last tour in 2019 or 2021 or so. But little did we know he was coming down with some dementia. And again, somebody else and for me, in the running for greatest guitar player who's not talked about enough is Glenn Campbell, who is just incredible on the guitar. He did his tour when he was going through Alzheimer's because he could still remember his licks. He would look at the lyrics and he would see on the prompter, it'd be solo. He'd be oh, solo, and then he would start playing. I would have loved to have seen that because I didn't get to see Glenn Campbell. I've never seen the Rolling Stones. Part of the reason I don't see the Rolling Stones is because I don't know if I want to spend $400 on the nosebleed ticket. I can't warrant that. But at the same time, it's
Did I tell you I'm going?
Huh?
Yeah. Did I tell you I'm going?
You're seeing the Stones?
Yeah.
Where?
Chicago.
Who's opener that night?
Awfully enough. Sorry, not to anybody who kills them, but is it Lainey Wilson?
Lainey Wilson?
Yeah.
She's the girl with the bell bottoms.
She got a heart like a truck.
Heart like
a truck.
People don't know what we're talking about. Yeah.
I'm can't we get I don't know.
Well, Gary Carr Jr. is doing a few. Yeah. Tyler Childers is doing a couple. One of my boys.
Oh yeah, there's some. Happy birthday, Stevie Wonder, huh?
Isn't he not blind?
Okay, that's good stuff. Yeah, okay. So I'm with you here, right? Meshuggah's doing rhythmic stuff that no one's ever done in the history of the world. So, okay, this is a perfect comment because if either of these people are mentioned here, I agree with you. I could totally see people saying I think technically Thomas Hake, or I don't know how he says Hake, I guess maybe Hake. It's like technically the greatest drummer of all time. I'd be like, you might be right. I don't know about that. And then if someone said, you know what, Jeff Porcaro is probably the best, I'd be like, you know what, that's great. But a lot of other people might be like, well, we don't know who Meshuggah is, and it's a type of music that we don't like, so I don't give a fuck about that guy. And then other people would be like, Jeff Porcaro, the guy from Toto. You know what I mean? Let's not. And I say that as I love Toto and I love Jeff Porcaro, and he might be one of the best, right? But it's like funny too, of like, first of all, that shuffle on Rosanna is just incredulously good.
We'll take any of the guys from Toto's. Lukather. I mean,
they're all studio rats, man.
They play with Michael Jackson, like PYT and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. DJ Vinyl Vertigo.
Can I get a toast? Hey, there you go. Hey, man. 41 tomorrow. Hey, enjoy your last day of 40, huh?
My birthday is on Thursday, so.
Oh wow. I better get you something.
Don't want to talk about that.
That's all right. Yeah. Oh man, Dance with Wolves. In fact, I don't know, Kyle. I feel like this is just the perfect kind of nerdy fact that you would love. Is that did you know that the buffalo? Actually, Sam would like this too. Have you seen the movie, Sam?
No, but I've passed by out west where it was filmed.
Oh man, it's like the Dakotas. Yeah,
it's either South Dakota. Yeah, I think it's South Dakota.
The buffaloes that were used. So there's a just majestic, amazing. It's one of my favorite scenes in history. Because the thing is, Kevin Costner also directed the movie. Like he starred and directed the buffalo scene. That they use is just one of the greatest scenes ever. But they used the buffalo that were owned by Neil Young. They were Neil Young's buffalo.
Interesting.
That were used to film. It's all the game claim. We got hard to watch. You still remember the songs, yeah?
It's a great doc. It's very, very touching.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a duets album that just came out with like Brian Wilson, and I think there's a ton of people on it. Elton John's on it.
Yeah. Chris, thanks for stopping by, man. We miss you. Feel free to hang out with us someday. Let's get a beer.
Yeah, Chris.
I got to see Link Ray shred in the 70s. One of the best form. I still got to see Link Ray. Yeah.
And you probably don't regret that. You saw Link Ray.
Yeah.
Who influenced Jimmy Page.
Link Ray was Rumble, right?
Rumble. Yeah, because yeah, Jimmy Page came out doing the Rock Hall induction, like it was a surprise thing.
Yeah, that's the boom, boom, boom. Yeah,
it's very simple.
I just watched on one of my recent flights. Watched on, I think it's on Amazon Prime. I think it's called Rumble. A great documentary that focuses on contributions of Native Americans in rock and roll history. So it's a lot of, so Link Ray is one of them. Like he was like from like a local tribe and like became like a rock and roll icon for a lot of tribes. Obviously there's a lot of Robbie Robertson in there. He talks a lot and adds a lot. A very cool documentary.
Cool.
Really well done. Jeff Porcaro's great, man. He's just the best. Scott, how's it going? How is everything down there in the greater Tampa St. Pete area? Probably hot. Probably hot. I don't know how you do it, man.
I want to be there. It's like it was 75 today. I went to Walmart to get the brews before the stream. 75 degrees outside. I'm sitting here in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like,
yeah, dude. It's about 80 here today, but it's beautiful, man.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. At about 68 degrees.
Hey, Mark's here. Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark. Congratulations on 500 subscribers.
Oh, nice.
You are right on. Listen, I mean this in a non-sexual way. Flag me if you need to. Sir, you are right on my asshole. You are right. You are grinding up on there. Like every time I add one, I look at you and I'm like, he's right there. So, Mark, throw a contest, give away some free shit, and you'll keep on growing. Hey, look, we connected on this. Mike Portnoy is my favorite drummer of all time. I say he's my favorite drummer of all time. If someone were to say he was the best, if you were to bring together all of the aspects, the technicality, the influence, the impact, the awards, the feel for the songs, the creativity, the artistry, the composition, I would not argue with it. Wouldn't argue with it, Jeff. We love Jeff. This has become like a Jeff Porcaro fucking thing, man. I've always said off of Toto 4, everybody loves Africa, and Africa's kind of become like Africa's just become one of those like novelty songs, right? Like it's a great song, an amazing song, but like it's become that intergenerational crossover into everything thing.
Yeah.
I've always thought Rosanna was the best song, like the best single that come from that record, but it can't be the radio single. It's got to be the album version with Luke fucking shredding at the end. Steve Lukather plays this amazing balls out outro guitar solo on the end of Rosanna that just rips, but the radio edit always cuts it off before that hits.
I saw Lukather with Ringo back in 2019.
Ringo,
yeah, and I mean, it's very cool to hear him do, like, because like at that point they had what's his name from Santana,
Greg
Raleigh, yeah. So like they did Black Magic Woman, they did Oye Como Va, and to see him doing like the Santana licks, you're like, this dude can play anything.
And not only Greg Raleigh, not only from Santana, but from Journey. That's right. Because Journey started as basically Santana's backing band.
He's a double inductee.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like the Toto. I mean, they're all expert musicians, right? Like that's the thing is that like I always push back at this. I will say this all the time when I'm on video. I will say this all the time. Like the most disrespected genre in VC history is the mid to late 70s AOR bands, man. People hate Toto. People hate Journey. They shit on Styx. They shit, it's like that's what a lot of people do. And like Toto, especially expert virtuoso musicians. I mean, just outstanding in all of the ways.
They essentially did like what the Wrecking Crew could have done. Like if the Wrecking Crew decided like, hey, we're gonna make a band in the 60s. Toto did that. They're like, yeah, we can play with all these cats. Let's do our own thing. We can sing. We can do all that stuff.
Yep, for sure. Vance, good to see you, man. What we are going on the 30th. Plan on going on the 30th because they're doing two shows. I think one on the 28th or it's 27th. It's like a Thursday, Sunday. So we're looking at the Sunday.
And what's been so cool about this Stones tour, they're changing the set list every night.
It seems that way. Yeah.
Which I love because like the last few tours, it's been like, all right, we know Start Me Up's going to come here, Satisfaction, and they're going to play those songs. But like they always like the fan vote. I mean, I think they pulled in like You Got the Silver the other night. Keith had a back-to-back thing.
I mean, I saw, look, they're one of those bands that like, I mean, how do you make a set list, right? But whatever it was from that first or second night, I was down for. I was like, this is great. I wouldn't change it. They're going to play new stuff. They're going to play new stuff. I'm okay with that. Like, but yeah, I mean, how do you build that set list? Because they're also not going to go out there for 2.5 hours either.
No, that's what they have openers. I mean, like McCartney doesn't do an opener, but McCartney's going to be out there for 2 hours and a half.
Yeah, 2 hours and a half. Hot and breezy. That's what they used to call me, Scott. Hot and breezy.
I hate summer. We don't have to hate on musicians, but I can say without a doubt, and I'll make a video about it. I hate summer. I hate the heat. I hate the humidity.
Dude, this is why we get along. So I hate. Like, I'm already looking forward to October. Like when's Halloween?
Like when's Halloween? When can I take like a little pumpkin patch picture?
When May hits, to me, people are like, it's May. I'm like, it's a countdown to Halloween. We about 5.5 months out, people.
Yeah, I always talk about. I'm like I just did this like my family the other day. I was like, this means I'm going to be in shorts until at least mid-September, like comfortably in shorts, like, and I hate that.
Hey Rob, thanks for stopping by, man. Miss you, buddy.
Rob.
I can't join Wednesday either. I got a concert, man. It's been terrible. A lot of comments rolling through, so I'm trying to get to everybody. Hey man, I love Georgie Porgy. George Porgy. Yeah, exactly right. Like a lot of people don't know. It's the so Eddie Van Halen rips the solo on Beat It.
Yeah.
But Luke is all over that riff and all over those rhythm parts. He's one of those guys, right? So like Toto is still touring, but it's basically Steve Lukather, right?
Luke. Yeah.
But you know what? I'd pay $60 fucking to see Luke play for 2 hours. Hell yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like if you could see Ringo, do Ringo. Because when I saw Ringo, Colin Hay was playing. I think he's still with him. Colin Hay ripped the roof off from Men at Work. Unbelievably good.
Ringo was here him and the All-Star band were here last year and played a tiny place on campus. And like I missed out on tickets that sold out and then resale were out of control. And I'm like pissed because I'm like it would have been such a cool place to see a show, but they're not playing arenas. You know what I mean? Like
no, it's like the little places,
more theaters and stuff like that.
He tours every year, so it's not like you're not going to miss. You're not going to be like, oh, there's going to be 6 years between tours, like Peter Gabriel, or however long it was between his shows.
Yeah. Oh man, absolutely. Yeah, I will say that is one thing I do like. During the summer, man, throw on some Pablo Cruz or some Christopher Cross. Sailing.
He was just announced to come. He's coming here sometime in the fall.
Yeah,
but not to be confused with Chris Cross.
That's right. No, Drumeo great, man. I'm all in on Drumeo. They're so good. And of course, I loved all the stuff they were doing with Mike Portnoy and all that kind of stuff. But Drumeo is amazing. They do some good stuff. Yeah, but okay. Look, Scott. But Scott, you from Brooklyn though, so like you get it. You've experienced a good portion of your life actually getting autumn. 85 degrees with 92% humidity in Tampa is not fucking autumn, bro. I have to tell you that because I love you. But I remember I lived about 3.5 years. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was coming from West Michigan at the time. I mean, we were getting overnight 16 inches of snow, and they'd be like business as usual. And then a couple months later, over the summer, I moved to Charlotte, and I remember it was probably mid-October, and like it was about 80 degrees, and there was like the slightest warm breeze that came by, and my boss goes, "Feel that? It's fall coming."
You're like moist.
I was like, "Yeah, seriously." I'm sitting there like looking like I just walked through a manual car wash,
So, yeah, because when you're in Charlotte, you were on the South Carolina border,
yeah.
So you were down there.
Heck yeah, man! I used to spend my nights in Rock Hill, baby girl. No, there is a cookout down there. It's a nice one.
Making out some Noble Records.
I didn't think so.
I think it's Eddie.
I don't think so, but maybe I guess I don't know.
I think Slash played on a later Michael Jackson tune, kind of like the same feel, but it was Eddie on Beat It.
Yeah, I would totally go see. I mean, yeah. So it's just a bummer that some other people. I mean, obviously we lost Jeff so many years ago, and but their other keyboard player doesn't play with them anymore. Their singer isn't with them anymore. It's basically Luke and a bunch of people. But yeah, no, I agree. This has kind of been my thing. Like, there's just this genre of bands that people just love to hate, and it's just wild. That's pretty cool. I'm a big Eric Johnson fan. I remember hearing this was. I'm sure Sam. I'm guessing you used to fuck around on some Guitar Hero back in your day.
Yeah, rock band, Beatles rock band, and Guitar Hero World Tour.
I mean, I remember that was, I think, for a lot of people, the first time they ever heard Cliffs of Dover. Yeah, and just man, Eric Johnson, just man, what a great play. But funny, when I hear Eric Johnson, so I love Eric Johnson. I hear Eric's playing in two people today. I hear a ton of it in Joe Bonamassa, which is interesting because Joe's a blues player, but he's blues, but he shreds, and that shredding part comes from Eric. And then I also hear a ton of Eric and Matteo Mancuso, who's like a newer kind of jazz fusion guy out of Italy. That's like the new Prodigy sort of thing. Okay, well, you can send my check in the mail then, Scott. We can talk about that. It's okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's true. It's like, and I don't know. I think some of it's interesting, right? I think there's also this element that people, this goes back to our earlier conversation, Sam, there are people who take pride in disliking or hating things that everybody else seems to like, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, Steely Dan are some of the greatest musicians ever. They are, their records sound so perfect. Everything is perfect. Everything is perfect.
Well, same for the Eagles. People hate the Eagles for that very reason.
Hate the Eagles, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their harmonies are too good,
Should the Eagles have worse harmonies? Yeah. Why do we like people with harmony?
Should the Eagles take a hint and fly away? Yeah.
Oh my
You know, but it's like I get it. Like, here's what I love though, and maybe I'm just getting caught up on semantics. Shut up, Sam. I'm getting caught up on semantics, but it's like I totally understand if people don't like Steely Dan. You know, if it's like I don't like Steely Dan, or I don't like this record, or even like I hate this record. Like people are like, I hate Asia. I hate Asia. And it's like, okay, but like that's fine to say that, but it's not fine. Like when people are like, Steely Dan sucks. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, are they actively not good at performing music?
Yeah.
Because I think it's like a factual thing that they're actually maybe too good at it. Like I don't think you can really question the musicianship on Asia.
Right.
You know, like that's not really a thing. Like you want to tell Steve Gadd to fuck off? Like I don't think that's how this works, people.
I saw Steve Gadd play with James Taylor, so that was a treat.
Really? There you go.
Yeah, back in a 20. It was the first. I've said this a million times. The first concert I went to after COVID was Jackson Brown opening for James Taylor, and Gadd was with James Taylor's band. Oh,
yeah, he's incredible.
Yeah,
well, because he's also on a gazillion ways to leave your butthole or whatever from Pauly C.
Pauly C. Who is the C?
Sorry, Pauly S. I got
my favorite major.
I got Pauly. That was my major. Okay, well, but here's the thing. But I heard the documentary is great.
It's great. I saw it. I hate Bon Jovi. Well, okay. No, but I'm getting the whole conversation.
They suck.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about artists that we hate. I hate Bon Jovi. No, I'm just not into that. I'm not into like the hair pop of the 80s. But again, they wrote very catchy hooks. Richie Sambora had some killer guitar fills. I knew going into the Disney documentary, I was like, I know I don't listen to Bon Jovi, but I want to watch this because I love a good music documentary. And it was 4 parts. It played very easy. We got the new interviews from Richie Sambora, the first time he's really spoken out in a full public setting since he left, like in 2013 or whenever it was. But yeah, I mean that's even if you don't like 80s music, it's great because it's also following Bon Jovi's struggle with his voice and like trying to, figuring out like voice therapy for some issues that he has, a surgery that he went through, them preparing for their 40th anniversary tour. I think it's well worth the watch, even if you don't like 80s or Bon Jovi.
All right, we got a lot of catching up to do. I love this. So now here's my thing with Bon Jovi. First of all, I will say this 1,000%. Bad Medicine's a fucking banger.
Yeah, love.
If I hear Bad Medicine in the car, I'm crashing. Like there's not Bad Medicine's a banger. The other thing, this is very specific. I don't know if you know the same, but I'm a 90s kid. You're not quite as much. But
no, I had 6 years in the 6 years in the 90s.
So one of my childhood sitcom crushes
Topanga
was Heather Locklear, who I think was married or is married to Richie Sambora. I don't know if they still are. I know they were married for a while. So I think I liked Bon Jovi vicariously through Heather Locklear.
No.
All right, let's take it back here, Mark. We've been spending this entire 2-hour stream talking how much we both hate the Beatles. I'm just, yeah, okay. We were talking about that with Pauly C, right? What is it? A million ways to leave your butthole, Sam? Is that what you said earlier?
Yeah, slip out the butt crack. Make a new plan.
Is it Monday evening? I'm a little bit drunk at about 5:45 on a Monday. How are you doing over there, Sam?
I've just had 2 of the Tall Boy Miller Lights.
Tall boys, huh?
Hardly. Not even a full Tall Boy. What is this? 16 ounces.
All right, Kyle, I'm doing down here. What a strange way to say that you're attracted to somebody.
That's what I say about Steve.
Heather
Other words to say,
Locklear was super easy to lust over. Well, I would say so. What was even though that show? What was that show, Kyle? What was the show that she was on? Was it God? It was just mediocre '90s sitcom. Like what was that? And it wasn't Melrose Place. You like Melrose Place, Sam?
no.
You want to get hooked up to lie
I think
detector?
a lot of detector place. Yes, it's true. It's true. It's true.
Yeah, but you know what? Great. Like, I don't think anybody's going to disagree with you there. But I don't think Scott. Tell me I'm wrong. Like, I don't think you would say that Rush sucks. Like, you're not going to be like they are just objectively poor at their instruments. What is going on here? There's a lot. Oh wait, she was in Boston Legal and T.J. Hooker. Forget sitcom you. God. All right. Well, Sam, look it up over there on your cool phone. What sitcom was Heather Locklear in the '90s? And it wasn't Mr. Sheffield or T.J. Hooker.
The Nanny.
No.
She was T.J. Hooker. Hot in Cleveland.
No.
Spin City.
Spin City. That's what it was.
She's 62. She was married to Tommy Lee and then Richie Sambora.
Boy, what a great cast of characters that is. Who would have thought that you'd be looking to the people that have been married to, and you'd be like, of all the people, Richie was the best.
That's like Valerie Bertinelli with Eddie Van Halen.
Valerie Burton Ernie.
Ernie. Hi, Bert.
Give him the money, Ernie.
I love that. Yeah, give it to him, Ernie. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
Give it to him, Ernie.
Doing
that's right. Yeah, that's I forgot. Michael J. Fox, Charlie Sheen show, Spin City. That's how I knew it from.
There's another clip. Woo! That is good, man.
It's so good. Yeah, John's in the house. Yeah, everybody's in the house. Hey, if anybody be home and bored and wants to come up and join Sam and I, just let me know.
Yeah, because
we'll get you this.
Close to salmon time.
It's the same. Oh, you're getting into a little bit of fish.
A little bit of that pink fish, yeah.
It's better than that pink taco.
That's Tuesday. Taco Tuesday.
Sir. Is that when you go to Charlottesville?
Oh gosh, stop,
sir. Look, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. You out here hard launching on these hoes. Okay. Do you know what that means? Yeah, you do. All right. Scott, Heather Locklear was not in fucking Sesame Street, dude. We've talked about this. It's Spin City.
That's when Sesame Street moved to HBO.
It's like that. Sam, you got any records or CDs over there you want to show?
Well, I already showed y'all that I got that knack. And
it's a great record, man.
It is, and I listen to it because again, like I'm kind of in this power pop phase right now because I saw the Lemon Twigs a week ago Sunday. So like I've listened to Get the Knack. I was listening to I was like all the Lemon Twigs stuff. I was listening to the Birds, like the jangly kind of stuff. So, but like I listened to this just before we got on the stream, which is really great. Very, very provocative record lyrically. I mean, like I know it got a lot of flack because it was like misogynistic, and it was like I read like there was a review. It was like if like what these guys think about women is true on this first record, imagine what they thought about them before they were famous. It was like, but like there's a lot of innuendo on this record. But,
yeah.
And they
you don't even know what Sharona actually is. Go ahead, keep going.
They I know they had to pay. Part of their contract was they wanted this Rainbow Capital label to be the Beatles essentially.
And that was the first one. And then there were a lot of 80s Capitol labels became that because of the knack.
Yeah, I mean it's really good stuff. And they do a version of Heartbeat by Buddy Holly, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So there's one. I pulled 4 that I've been listening to recently, but that's one that I listened to today. So what you have going on?
Well, yeah. Let me get on that. We got to get through some of these things too. Everybody's saying no to us. And everybody's got. Here's the thing: they can't just say no, or they can't just say nothing. They all got to say no, and here's why for something much cooler. So Scott says I would, but I have an impending Zoom call with my radio station. I tell you, who doesn't have a radio station is us two. Okay, so thank you.
This is our radio station.
And then Northern Vinyl guy, Daryl, I think, says I would too, but I've got to ref soccer in a bit. Well, that sounds good too. Okay, I hope it's great.
European sport. Yeah.
Well,
American baseball.
That's right. Wouldn't you call it football?
Football.
This is the real question. Sam, you're more of a Sesame Street guy, so.
No, they are not. They're not a couple.
Yeah, is that because they wouldn't teach you that down there in Southwest Virginia?
Yeah. You can't have stripes on stripes.
You can't. Yeah, this isn't Scott. This isn't Florida, okay?
Florida is progressive with Sesame Street.
Yeah, I'm surprised Bert and Ernie haven't been banned in Florida. So
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Nah, I got nothing. But yeah, I do enjoy me some Sesame Street.
Yeah, why not? Am I going insane? Okay, yeah. So I went. I had a big. Let me do this thing. So I had a big work event that was pretty busy with Thursday through Sunday, and I don't know about you, Sam, but like I feel like, you do something and you're like proud of it and you're excited how it turned out. You're like, I need to reward myself. Some people go get themselves like a good dinner or a good drink or something. I'm like, I'm gonna go to the record store and just pick up a few things there. So this is a record I've actually has been a hole for a while in my collection, mostly because it was never released in the US. All right, there, sir. Be careful. We don't need people, whatever. Okay, so this record from 1968 was never released in the US, which means if you want it, you have to find like an original, UK copy of it or whatever. And I've never had it. Did you leave, Sam? God damn.
I'm here.
Anyway, I'll just show the people since Sam's not here anymore.
I had to go off camera.
And this is the second from Fleetwood Mac. It goes both ways, just like you. So so this is Mr. Wonderful, one of the worst cover arts of all time.
Yeah.
If you want to. Oh, sorry. There goes Flick, our favorite Flick Meatwood. Looking great. But this is for those who don't know, this is obviously primetime Fleetwood Mac, Peter Green blues era. Again, the second that he was on. But it was cool to pick that up. This one is hold on. This is a Music on Vinyl reissue. Scott, that's not for you. Here's the thing. Music on vinyl. I think a lot of your audiophile purists will be like, ooh, they take from a digital source and they suck. Blah, blah. I've had to go there with them. I think Music on Vinyl does a great job. In fact, I would say this, they do a really great job reissuing titles that need to be reissued. So that's what I'll say, and this is one of them. So yeah, for the blues fans out there, way to go. Next, I can't believe I never had this. In preparation for Friday with Steve and Gary. Sam, are you listening?
In preparation for Friday with Steve and Gary from All the World's a Butthole.
All right. Well, you're down there looking at your fucking phone. So there's that.
Excuse me. Steve Martin.
Uriah Heep live. Never owned this. This is easy to find. This is everywhere. All good things. I think my favorite thing about this is just this album cover of Bronze Records. Bronze Records is like the UK record label, but This great. This slaps. This kills. First 5 records, I think. Yeah, first 5, first 4. Don't matter. Great from 73. Awesome stuff. Love it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Sam, I'm not gonna lie. This kind of looks like you. This album cover.
Oh gosh.
I
don't even know what it is.
Do you know what's about to happen here?
No.
So Jethro Tull, one of my favorite bands of all time. But hold on, sir, relax. Jethro Tull, one of my favorite bands of all time. You know, I would say like the Jethro Tull nerds know that their first album was a blues album, basically. They were not a folky, proggy band on their first record. But after their first record, they replaced their original guitarist, Mick Abrams, with their fuck, I can't think of his name. Too many. I can't think of his name. Don't matter. Whoever they replaced him with, someone's going to say in the comments. Martin Barr. So Mick Abrams then, you know, leaves the band in 68, 69, and he's like, well, I'm going to go do a blues band because that's what I'm passionate about. And the name of that band was Bloodwind Pig. You can't say the resemblance isn't there, you know?
Well, they call me Porky.
They do call you Porky. That's right. They do call you Porky.
Oh, my word.
Let's see. What else? We got a lot of different things going on here.
They call me Grind.
See you, Scott. Appreciate that. Bye, Scotty. All different things.
We offended
you ever heard of Fat Mattress?
What, you've been on one here in my apartment on this pullout.
It's a fat man on a mattress. There's a difference. That's a different band entirely. So this was Noel Redding's band before Hendrix.
Okay.
So they released 2 albums. You ready for it? Fat Mattress. I just love the name, first of all. Fat Mattress, and then brilliantly named Fat Mattress 2.
Indeed.
Here's what's cool about it. So I got both of these for $3. So this is an Echo release from 1969. So this thing's 55 years old. $3. It's still sealed. Isn't that pretty dope?
It's got 55-year-old bed bugs in it on that fat mattress.
Yeah.
Well, that's me. Like I have a Herman's record from like 55. I mean 65 or so, and it's still sealed. I still haven't opened it yet, but apparently like it's one that's like often still sealed. Like
yeah,
it's just, like, it was made, like those 60s records were made so much in bulk. But
bulk, yeah,
like as bulk as that mattress.
Man, I miss that mattress you got over there.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, I gotta plan another trip down there. What do you think?
I know the next show is the week that I'm gone. I'm in Williamsburg.
Oh, so we can't do it. Oh, well, that's a summer show. That doesn't count.
Yeah, and then I mean the last one will be in November.
All right, we'll plan for that. What is that?
It's a wheelo.
Yeah, but it looks like a whisker. Not like a.
I was gonna say I haven't shaved in a while. My boyish looks. Yeah. Comment section. How old do you think I am? That's what they said on the island. Anyway.
So so Rob goes live. Rob, me, Sam, depending on the week, depending on what it looks like, 8 p.m. Eastern time. I believe it's what, 5 hours?
It'll be 1 o'clock
to UK.
Yeah, it'd be 5. Yeah.
So
it'd be like 1 o'clock.
I don't know if it is 5 hours, but that's a quick Google.
It's 5 hours because my uncle's over there right now doing stuff for school.
Nice. Yeah. So it's late. I mean, that's kind of like the problem. Actually, I wonder, like, that's why this is kind of like a fun stream time, just because like people in the UK or other parts of Europe or whatever can join in. It's not like
and people are getting off work here in the US.
Yeah.
Like Alex and I.
That's right. I Yeah. Well, hey, have fun at the football, reffing, give out lots of yellow and red cards. Tell those kids to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark thinks you're 24.
All right.
Definitely 30.
I don't know how to take that, but I've also said it many times.
What is heat wave? I don't know if I know heat wave, bro.
That's called May in Virginia.
I'm not sure if I'm familiar with heat wave.
Yeah, I don't know them. And then there's the song "Too Hot" by, I don't even know what song that was. Was that? I don't even know who it was, but it was a good song. It's too hot, baby. Better run for shelter. Better run for shade.
I'm thinking of "Too Hot to Handle" from UFO. That's a popular one.
It's hard to handle. Hey, kid, here I am, a man on the city.
All right, you gonna answer Mark's question?
Yeah, 30. I did say that. Yeah, I'm 30. Well, no, I'm 20. I'm 29. I'm not 30 yet.
Some do like it hot. Robbie
Mark
P.
Palmer's good. Power Station, yeah. Always and Forever.
Huh.
That was the last song on Napoleon Dynamite, sung by Kip. If that reference means anything
Is
to anybody. Well, that's what he's
Is
singing.
that what it sings?
No, but it's a song with the same title that he wrote for LaFonda.
Yeah. Sam, what are you getting into tonight? You getting into some salmon, you said?
Yeah, I'm getting into some salmon. I've done very little today.
Putting that salmon?
Yeah, I've got nothing to say. No, I might spend some more recs. I might make a video. I'll see. I'm running very dry on ideas for videos.
What are you thinking about?
Well, I mean, I like to do kind of like a why I love series, whether it's an artist or a record. I want to do another one of those. I mean, my last two videos, it was a concert review, album review, and then Steve's contest entry.
So I didn't watch the drawing. Were you in the drawing or not?
No. But I received a text from him on the stream that my birthday present is in the mail, expected to be delivered in 2 days. So
knowing him, that could be a really cool thing or a really weird thing, or both.
Hey, Steve. Yeah, cool. That's right, Trevor. Thank you, Trevor. That's a great song. Too Hot. That's a smooth song.
Oh, now they mentioned it. Yeah, now I know. Yeah.
Too hot, baby. What do you have going on? You gonna drink some more peebs? You gonna?
I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit drunk right now at 6:00 on a Monday. So, I don't know.
Order some Pandy Wandy.
Getting pretty hungry. Might fuck some Twizzlers. Haven't decided yet.
You and Rod the Happy Hippie.
Does he eat Twizzlers?
He loves Twizzlers.
Dude, I should call him.
He offers Twizzlers often on his channel. He says, "Have a Twizzler."
I don't know. That's right. I might just fall asleep. No, I don't know. Might listen to some Rex, as you say, and yeah, go from there.
Pandy Wandy is what you should get.
Dude, that sounds so good right now.
it always sounds good. I have leftover pizza and lasagna. I'm trying to be healthy to eat the salmon, but I'm like, man, I would spank that lasagna right now.
Dude, put the lasagna on the pizza.
With salmon sprinkled on top.
No. Oh, man.
It's super crispy pepperoni with like 3 cheese.
That sounds so good.
Heat is on. There you go. Yeah.
All right. Well, you know what? I think this has been fun.
It's been real fun.
But I think it's about dinner time. What do you think?
Yeah, I've got to turn the oven on, and I might have another beer. I don't know yet.
Yeah, turn the oven on and then do what you got to do to make dinner. So
I'll eat some Tums.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks everybody for joining out there on this Monday matinee special edition, and everybody make sure you subscribe to Sam.
Sam St. John, not cousin Jeffrey, but
yeah. Well, he's got a good channel too. So
he does.
All right. Cheers, y'all. Be good. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Peace.